DeSantis versus Newsom, the great red versus blue state debate. That's what it's been titled, and we're going to cover it here today on Speechless. Thanks for joining. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Speechless. I'm your host, Kev Phares. You know me by this point, but I'll still say it. I'm your host, Kev Phares, 22-year-old conservative college student out of Central Illinois, host of Speechless on Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal and beyond. But we all know radio necessarily isn't the easiest platform for everybody. It's not, it can't cover everything. And there's a visual medium that encapsulates so much more. And so that's why I bring you guys this content here on YouTube. And to make sure you do not miss a minute of it, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, and share it with your friends. That's what I always say, but I actually mean it. Especially tonight, guys. Go share this video with your friends. They might be trying to find a way to watch the debate. And I'm going to try my best to keep this up the whole time. I'm also on, not only am I on YouTube, I'm also on Rumble currently. Everybody usually knows my YouTube channel, which definitely, no matter where you are, what you're doing, check out the YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to that. That's where I push the most of my content. But I'm also on Rumble because Rumble tends to be nicer in terms of content guidelines. YouTube is strict. That's why I call them ScrewTube. I'm not even on Facebook tonight because one of the last times I tried to do a debate on Facebook, they blocked me for like 5 days, saying I infringed on copyright. But here's the thing, is we have public officials that are going on a debate stage and talking about the issues facing Americans. The fact that that is not considered public domain, that is not something that everybody has easy and simple access to watch, is absolute, and I'm not on the radio, I'm only on YouTube and everything like that. It's absolute bullshit. It is. Everybody should have access to this. What is the purpose of it, if not for the people to be able to hear the difference of opinions? Especially in this case, this is an unprecedented debate. This is not a presidential debate, at least by title, and I'm going to get into that. This is not a presidential debate, though. These are not two presidential candidates getting up and having a conversation about why they would make a better president directly. This is two governors who have had a spat for quite a long time, and they're getting up on stage and having a conversation, probably more than a conversation, I expect it to be fiery, about their governorships, their records, and the state of this nation. It's kind of reflective in a way of what we have going on in the country right now, right? Wouldn't you consider that reflective? How was your guys' Thanksgiving? Did you have liberal family members? Maybe you had a major argument where one family member was an ardent lover of Donald Trump and another wasn't. And it got tense. How is this, besides the fact that it's televised and heavily publicized, how is this much different than those kinds of conversations? It's not. This debate, in my opinion, is more important than any other debate that we have had and that we've been able to see on my channel or in the last year, since the last presidential general election debates between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. This is the most important debate because this is where we have the reckoning for so many things that have happened in the last 4 to 6 years, as these governors were both elected in 2018 and then reelected in 2022. How do we get here? What is the reason for this debate? It's not usual that two governors of states that aren't running against each other for anything would be having this kind of conversation. What is the reason for it? And I'm going to try to answer that. But first, how did we get here? Momentum has been building essentially for this debate since COVID for Newsom and DeSantis, because they're probably the most prominent governors in the country. The debate I want to start off with as well is being held roughly 30 miles north of Atlanta, Georgia. This is important to note because while this is not classified as a presidential debate, as I said, not by name, it does have some potential implications. Georgia, which was a one-time Republican stronghold, has now become one of the top general election battleground states between the two major political parties. We saw it in both the 2020 and 2022 elections. Even if Newsom is not the Democratic candidate in 2024, which I still think there's a chance he will be, we will get to see how his brand of dark blue progressive West Coast politics plays in the purple East Coast South. Similarly, we'll be able to see how Ron DeSantis and the Republican stronghold he's created just south of Georgia and Florida will play a few hundred miles north. Newsom first challenged DeSantis to this debate back in September 2022. So it's been a long time coming. The attacks have grown only more personal in this time. Newsom has called DeSantis a, quote, small, pathetic man, while the Florida governor has argued that people are, quote, fleeing California because of Newsom's administration, among other things. And I want to break down the participants that we have in this debate, because it's not just two. There's more than two participants in this debate, but I want to make sure I say hi to some of the people that are watching right now. And if you're watching on Rumble, I'm watching for your comments and everything too. Thank you so much, Homer Heater over on Rumble for commenting. I love you too. Jim Adams, this is happening tonight. This is happening. I'll show you. I got the poster ready and everything right there. I got the live stream ready. Again, there's a chance I could get a copyright violation on this. So I'm going to try to post a link to where there is a free live stream that I have found. And so you can try it. You can watch it if for whatever reason I get taken down. There's a chance I get taken down, which again is absolute bullshit, but it might happen. Jim, I see you. Progressive American, thank you so much for joining. I know we don't agree on everything, but I appreciate your viewership and for joining me. Ryan Mack Show, it is really stupid that access to this is limited. Do they not want the American people to be informed? It's not even about the American people being informed to them. What it is they're trying to drive viewership. Even, and I get, I'm happy with even one viewer on my channel. I get more than that, but I'm happy with even just one. And the thing is they would rather shut down my channel and hopefully get the extra 5, 10, 20, 30 viewers. Hopefully more at some point, but they'd rather do that than allow the American people to be informed, because it's about money to them. That's what matters much more to these people. It's not about anybody being informed. Demon Girl, who isn't real, thank you so much for joining. Get your apples and popcorn ready. Absolutely. Yes, please post the link. I've been looking all over for one. So I'll post the link. I'm hoping that it actually works for most people. I'll post it closer to when the debate will begin. Also, just a reminder too, this is a commentary show. So like I said, I will post the link if you want totally 100% uninterrupted, but this is a commentary show. I always get commenters at some point during this that are like, I wish he wouldn't keep talking during the thing. And I'm like, that's kind of the point. It says in the description, this is a commentary show. So stop your bitching and like grow up. Just saying. Jess T, thanks for joining. Is Newsom bringing his axe and plastic poncho? Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, he does remind me of the American Psycho. But let's break down who the participants are. We got about 20 minutes till debate time. And so just so you guys are aware of like where I'm at with this. And as always, you guys are more than welcome to join the show in some way. I do have an invite link if you would like to join the stream. I'm putting it in the comments section right now. You can use that link that I just put in there. You'll be pushed to a waiting room, and I can bring you on for your own commentary if you're interested in joining. And so let's get a little bit more into who these candidates are now that I kind of covered a lot of the housekeeping stuff. So breaking down the participants, we're going to start off with Ron DeSantis. Many of us know him, talked about him on my other live streams with the debates and stuff. DeSantis is the Florida governor and presidential candidate who, like I said, I've covered extensively on this show. And he's honestly set up to have a slam dunk for this debate. In my opinion, it's his to lose. In the 2022 election, DeSantis turned Florida into a solidly red state and blew his opponent out of the water. And this was after his initial election, when Ron won only by a narrow margin, and Florida at the time was kind of a swing state. Now it is a Republican stronghold. Florida was also known as the freest state in the country during COVID. People traveled to Florida in droves, and he had come to be known as the rising star in the GOP. But that was until he threw his hat into the ring for the 2024 election. His accomplishments as the most conservative governor have since been overshadowed by, in my opinion, petty partisan infighting because of the presidential election. He's been labeled as a rhino somehow, which makes no sense if you look at his record. He obviously has that nickname that Donald Trump has given to him. And while he has stabled his campaign and focused heavily on the issues during the presidential primary debates, this is his opportunity to get over the DeSanctimonious moniker and truly show and remind the world of his record, why he was the rising star that pretty much every Republican was on board with prior to him announcing his run for president. Along with that, while this is not a presidential debate, it is an opportunity for DeSantis to show his ability to go up against a high-profile Democrat, especially one that is as loved by the progressive zealots as Gavin Newsom is. One who has been accused one who has been accused by many, including Bill Maher. Sorry, I mess up my words sometimes. This is a live show. I do it. He's been accused by many, including Bill Maher and John Fetterman, the senator, Shrek, whatever you want to call him, of running a, quote, shadow campaign, not DeSantis, Newsom. He's running a shadow campaign for president. That's what a lot of people are accusing him for. So could this be a presidential move for Newsom as well? Let's talk about that. Can you name another high-profile Democrat with the name recognition, donor base, and political talent? And I don't say that favorably. Having political talent is not necessarily a good thing. But can you name one that could assume control and succeed the kingship of the Democratic Party after Biden is gone? No, you probably couldn't. But I've been asking this question. I asked it in a live stream a few weeks ago. What is the hesitation for the Democrats to go all in on Newsom? Why won't they? It would make sense. Approval ratings for Biden are at record lows, and the vast majority of Americans believe that this country is moving in the wrong direction. Not to mention that Biden's status as an octogenarian has pretty much everyone questioning, besides Kamala Harris. She won't question him. Will question if Joe can even make it through a second term, let alone the campaign through 2024. Wouldn't it make sense politically to put someone else up, to put Gavin Newsom up, someone who has a voter base that would be much more confident to support him? What's the holdup on Gavin Newsom? There's a few reasons why maybe. Could it be the fact that California's population has declined by over 600,000 people since the day he took office? Probably not, considering the fact that Dems will say that's because of racist Republicans and misinformation. And the spike in Florida in their population? Well, that's just a coincidence. That's just a coincidence. Could it be that there's rampant homelessness in California and people defecating on the streets in their urban areas? No, somehow that's also Republicans' faults too. The Democrats. Outside of policy failures, Newsom also cheated on his first wife with his campaign manager's wife. If that doesn't say dignity to the office, I don't know what does. But obviously that wasn't enough for Democrats to avoid nominating and electing him to the governorship twice. No, sex scandals have never been a problem for Democrats, especially Democrats. Not saying that Republicans don't have their share, but I mean, a president literally got a blowjob in the Oval Office, and the only thing that was a problem with it was the fact that he lied. Just saying. So what is it? Why, Democrats? Why? Why not dump your slow, old, outdated computer like your Windows 98 Biden for a high-speed laptop like Newsom, somebody who can actually compete? Well, the reason is twofold. First, Gavin Newsom is straight and white. That's their problem with him. No, not the cheating, nothing else. No, it's the fact that he's a straight white guy. Two qualities that normal people wouldn't really object to. They'd be like, okay, they wouldn't look at that. They'd look at all the other crap. If he really believes what you believe, Democrats, and pushes the policy, shouldn't that be what matters? No, not to Democrats. Not only must you be a slave to the degrading progressive ideology, you must also recognize that the inherent characteristics of a candidate matter much more than the policy itself, a record, or likability. And you might be saying to yourself, especially if you might be one of my progressive watchers, you might be saying, well, Kevin, Joe Biden is also straight and white. Your argument is invalid. And you'd be right, if not for the person that's set to take over for him. That's Kamala Harris. That's Kamala Harris. She's not straight and white. And she's not going to step aside for Gavin Newsom either. She wouldn't. She has sucked too many people off to get to where she is, to step aside for some straight white male to take her place, even though that his popularity among Democrats is much higher than Kamala's. Then again, Democratic voters have been content to reject Kamala. So maybe there's still a chance. Newsom has also worked hard to overcome his failures to prove himself to the woke gods through pushing his socialist economics, overtaxation, climate change, and environmental justice, reparations, and much more policy that is as progressive as it gets. He essentially sold his soul to the party. Now, if you'd done all that, you'd sold your soul to a political party, wouldn't you be a little mad, a little disgruntled that a babbling octogenarian and someone who slept their way to the top and relies solely on her race and gender are the highest ranking members of your party, and you're being told to wait your turn? That's what Gavin Newsom is going for right now. That's what he's at. I got to feel bad for the guy. Now, Newsom has promised Biden that he's not running for president. He's promised him, everybody. And we all know a Democrat's promise means that they're going to keep it, right? Yeah. Yet, although he may not be running technically, he hasn't announced, he is making it clear he's ready. And this debate is a perfect example of that. Should the need arise, it'll only take a short break by the Democratic base from getting high on its own supply of diversity, equity, and inclusion for them to pick Newsom. And that should really terrify all of us. Seriously. Biden is beholden to a moderate base. He's sold himself as a moderate. He has to come off as a moderate. Newsom, on the other hand, as you'll see tonight, I'm sure, Newsom is not beholden to anybody and will push as progressive policy. Well, he's beholden to the Democratic Party enough, but he will push the far left progressive policy that he wants to and that he's sold his soul to do. So there's a lot. Unlike the success of DeSantis in his elections, Newsom has come under heavy criticism, however, in his own state, even having faced a recall election during his term. What we have tonight is the free state of Florida versus the lockdown state of California. Constitutionalism versus communism. DeSantis versus Newsom. But there is one thing that works heavily in favor for Newsom. I listed all the crap that's going to come at him tonight. But there's one thing that works in favor of Newsom tonight in this debate. And that's our third participant. Yes, it's not just Newsom versus DeSantis. The moderator, Sean Hannity. I questioned for a while. I pondered, thought long and hard about why Newsom would accept a debate that's moderated by Sean Hannity. I mean, Newsom does like to get intertwined with people that are involved in Republican politics. If I must remind you, he was at one point married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, who is now Donald Trump Jr.'s fiance, wife. I don't even know. But just an interesting tidbit for you there. But yes, we have Sean Hannity. And as we know, Hannity is right-leaning. And while I have questions about how aligned with the establishment Hannity is, he is much more critical of Democrats like Gavin Newsom than he is of Republicans like Ron DeSantis. And so why does this work in Newsom's favor? Because he's set the bar low. This is why Newsom even agreed to it in the first place, is because he is setting the bar low so that no matter what happens, Newsom could literally go on stage, crap his pants, and then spew crap out of his mouth. And I'm not saying figuratively like he will do tonight. He's going to spew a lot of crap out of his mouth. But I mean literally. Like he could literally spew crap out of his mouth. And the media will still come out and say Newsom won because he was outnumbered. That is how this works in favor of Newsom. Period. And so now I want to get into, I know we only have a few minutes left. I'm keeping an eye on the debate live stream page that I have. I have 2 live streams up and ready, one through news and this Never Back Down, which I'm going to send the link right now if you want to pull it up yourself. Debate stream. But I'm going to get to some comments here before I get to my few expectations before the debate starts. There's the debate stream link. I'm going to do another one here into the Rumble. Okay, let's see. I saw the comment section going crazy. And I appreciate everybody who's in here. Once again, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you're on Rumble, obviously follow that channel as well. Check out my YouTube, Speechless with Kev Phares, easy to find. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share and everything. Let's get to some of these comments here now. Before I get into, I got about 2 minutes for comments, then I can get into some predictions that I have. Do I think Ron would have any interest in being VP? I don't think I think Trump has gone after Ron so hard, and they've kind of just had such a spat that it probably won't happen. I think he would have at one point potentially. But I think he's running for president, and he still has a decent shot at second place. And I think tonight is his chance to show people that he could be the front runner. This is another thing. In terms of Gavin Newsom, he's basically a young Bill Clinton, but slightly more radical. That's the other thing too. That's the other thing when it comes to why will the Democrats put aside all like just the crap about Gavin Newsom, the fact that he has practically ruined California. It's pretty privilege. It's pretty privilege. Honestly. And I'm just look at the guy. I mean, he's not a bad looking dude. He was in the thumbnail. You guys all saw him. And yeah, I picked like an angrier picture of him, but he's a nice smile, soothing enough eyes, tall, gray fox, as some in my generation would say, but he's got pretty privilege. That's what he's got. So he's kind of got that. That's why he beats out like JB Pritzker, bowling ball Pritzker. Basically the same ideologically, but JB Pritzker looks like a snowman where you accidentally did the bottom half as the middle. So that's what I see. You're right, Progressive American. She does have 10 years of experience in government. And how did she get there? How did she get there? You want to know how? Willie Brown? I think that was the guy's name. Guy she was sleeping with, and then all of a sudden she gets the DA position. I don't know. The link isn't showing up. I put it right there. I'll check the live stream chat, and then I'm gonna get into some predictions. Okay. But yeah, you can check out that link there. I'll put another one, but let's get to a few predictions here. I have 3 main predictions for this debate and expectations. As I hinted earlier, Ron DeSantis, his best political move is to show people not only his record, but that he can take on a high-ranking progressive Democrat. Now, why is this important? Well, he'll be on the offensive against Gavin Newsom because many in the GOP see Trump as the only one that has the backbone for the presidency, as the only one that can take on the establishment, that can take on progressives, that can take on everybody like that. A lot of people see Trump as the only person. So DeSantis is going to try to prove that not only does he have the backbone, but that he is stronger than anyone else. Trump has had to go up against Hillary and Biden. Look, Newsom is much more favorable to most Democrats than Hillary and Biden combined. So if Ron DeSantis can take him on and prove to Republicans that he can handle that, his hope is that he'll be able to win some people over. His offenses will likely be on the topics of COVID, economy, the population differences between California and, Florida, probably some social issues. That'll be a heavy debate between both of them, like the Don't Say Gay bill, things like that. Potentially reparations, and hopefully he'll come in at abortion. But that's one place that I know Newsom will hit him. That's my second expectation. Newsom will be on the offensive as well. He is the only one he is the one who proposed this debate, after all, and he is trying to prove that he should be the presidential candidate for the Dems and that he should be the leader of the party. He will definitely hit hard on things like abortion because previously, Newsom released a video accusing DeSantis of criminalizing any woman who seeks an abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy. The ad displays women and physicians' faces on wanted posters. So he's got no shame in how he comes after people on abortion, and DeSantis specifically. Newsom will defend himself on COVID by trying to claim that he acted in the best interest of his citizens and will likely try to frame DeSantis as a racist, sexist, homophobic, blah, 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 blah. You killed grandma, everything like that. Now, this debate, this is my third thing. This debate is not an opportunity for people to watch and try to understand multiple opinions. That's not what they're up there for. It is a moment for both of these politicians to try to prove themselves to their respective parties. I expect this to be a bloodbath. And everybody loves watching a bloodbath. That's why I think the ratings on this will be higher than either of the presidential primary debates, everything like that. This will be a very, very messy debate. I anticipate interruptions. Hannity probably even going after Newsom a little bit, maybe a little after DeSantis, because Hannity is usually more cozied up to Trump. Who knows? But those are my expectations. Those are my primary expectations. I'm going to check in on the live stream. It looks like they're kind of doing it through Rumble. It says it's starting soon. I'll bring it up on screen through this. Let me make sure. This is what happens when I produce my own show, everybody. I have to focus on like 10 things at once. I put that link in there. Is the link working for anybody else? I know one person said that they were having issues with it. So that's what's showing up here right now on the live stream stuff. We're going to have it there ready so that we can all watch it, enjoy. And like I said, I will be providing commentary. So if you don't want the commentary, go to the link I sent in the chat. That is what I recommend. Check out Never Back Down. They are the primary PAC supporting DeSantis. So if you're interested in anything like that, and obviously they're hosting this live stream because they actually seem to want people informed at least, and they obviously have a little bit of a reason for that. But we have just about a minute left until we're supposed to start. Once again, thank you all for joining as we go through this. If I do get a copyright strike, if I do get taken off of YouTube, check out that link and support the channel as much as you can. If you want to check out the Venmo Cash App or anything so I can get more equipment as I will be moving home within the next month or so, I'd really appreciate that. Super chats are a thing. Memberships are on here too. I'm working on getting merch out there with a lot of different things on it. So please, in any way that you can support the channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. And if you're on Rumble right now, I appreciate it. I obviously do put some of my content on Rumble, but most of my stuff is on YouTube. So definitely go check out the YouTube as well. This will be starting soon. License, great to see you. Appreciate you. I think the next election is either going to be RFK or Trump. Interesting. I did a video on my YouTube previously about RFK running as an independent and who it would help and who it could hurt. This is interesting. Okay, so I think you had a guillotine. I think you had a little bit of a typo there, but all good. It all happens. Ron isn't as, I think you meant charismatic as Newsom. I'd agree with that to an extent. They have different personality types. Newsom definitely has a different type of charisma. Ron definitely comes off as angry. And that's one of the things that always kind of drew me to him as a person, because I am angry. As I've often said, I'm always a little bit angry, and people will be like, well, what does that mean? And I'm like, I got the pilot light on. Always got the pilot light on in case I need everything, in case I need to get mad real quick. They look like they're about to start. Here we go. We got it started.
And welcome to Hannity. And tonight we are broadcasting live just north of Atlanta, Georgia, in Alpharetta, Georgia, where in just a moment we're going to hear from the Republican governor of Florida, the Democratic governor of the great state of California, for what is the first ever red state, blue state debate right here on the Fox News channel. Now, we will do our best to give equal time to each governor. We will limit answers to 60 seconds per question. We'll be a little flexible as needed. Let the debate breathe as needed, along with a 30-second time for rebuttal. Let me start by introducing both Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Governors, thank you both for being here. Really appreciate it.
Great to be with you, Sean.
I know both of you personally. I've known you both for a long time. I know you're very busy. I also know this. I know that both of you love your individual states.
Yeah.
I know you both have a deep and abiding love for our country, as I do. But where we are in the country, we've never kind of been this divided in a long time. There are clear and deep and profound differences in your approach to governance.
Right.
And before we begin, one quick note to all of you that are watching at home. Okay, I'm now the longest running primetime cable host in the history of cable news. I'm now, and I feel blessed, in my 28th year at Fox. It's kind of widely known that I am a conservative. However, tonight I will be moderating this debate. I will not be part of the debate. Our questions tonight will be coming from well-sourced, fact-centered perspectives, and you will see and hear most of tonight's questions will deal with the most fundamental issues, the ones that impact the lives of the people that make this country great, the people in Florida, the people in California, and in many ways, every state in the country. We'll discuss taxes, the economy, immigration, crime, guns, homelessness, education, parental rights, abortion, gas prices. In other words, the things that impact you every single day.
Parental rights, but
in
those
the
are some
end,
great
you will get to
topics
decide which governing philosophy you believe is better. The governors will explain their governing philosophy. And again, fact-based questions. So let's get started. Everybody ready? All right. As we speak, there is a phenomenon. It is playing out across the entire country. Americans, they are leaving blue states in droves in favor of red states. You can see numbers on the screen right now from the years 2021 and 2022. These particular numbers are stark in the state that you lead, in the case of you, Governor Newsom, according to the U.S. Census, this is where the numbers come from. In 2021, 2022, California's lost 750,000 residents to other states. Governor DeSantis, during that same 2-year period, you gained 454,000 residents from other states. So Governor DeSantis, we had a coin toss. I was not part of it. I missed it. But apparently, Governor Newsom, you won the coin toss. And you chose to let Governor DeSantis have the first question. You will get the last word tonight. So I begin with you. For Governor Newsom, I will ask, what your response is on this as well. It's a simple question. How do you
Well, it would seem
explain this phenomenon? Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California, and I was a lifelong Floridian.
I'm getting a little bit of this happen.
But
One
I
of the
went
last
there,
times
and I was
too.
like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I think California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. And yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually, at one point, ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering. He led the country in school closures, locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these tales. He's good at being slick and slippery. He'll tell a blizzard of lies to be able to try to mask the failures. But the reality is they have failed because of his leftist ideology. And the choice for America is this. What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Governor Newsom, your reaction.
Well, it's good to be with you, Sean. It's nice also to see you in a tie as well tonight.
That's the charisma.
Ron. And
I dressed up for the occasion, Governor.
No, I'm impressed and I'm grateful. Look, it's an important occasion. This is an important conversation.
I
think it's important to folks watching. They're probably wondering, what are we actually
doing my best
doing here? And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception.
There is no right
weaponize
to abortion.
You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So
we're not even a
there are
democracy.
profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engaging them. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor, great opening statement, but
Didn't
it
answer
did not
the question.
It
I mean,
didn't
I think
address the issue. Can you explain this
Also, he
migration
just said that he will not be the
out of
nominee.
California and going to red state?
You mean,
Blue state?
well, hold on. You mean the
Not what I
last
would
2
do.
years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to
No,
Florida?
I put up on. I put
Well,
up
that's
on
just,
the
by the way,
screen.
that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates, size of 21 state populations combined. It's the 5th largest economy in the world. We dominate. Number
I know it keeps freezing.
one manufacturing
Not me, it's
state.
not my
We
internet.
dominate in two-way trade and research and development, access to innovation, more scientists, more research.
Very sorry, guys.
More engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation, the finest system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science and biotech and nanotechnology. We dominate in green tech. We dominate in high tech. We dominate in artificial intelligence. So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis to be bashing a state of 40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
Well, that's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere in the East, because why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forces. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I was talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe, but it's his turn. Let's take turns.
We're going to try this.
I was talking to a fella.
We're going to try this real quick, everybody. Share this tab instead. And unmute. I had another one up just in case. Unmuting it for you guys. Just thought that this might work better. I don't know what's going on here. Sorry, I'm trying to get it the best for you guys, and this one seems to be a little bit better. I'm going to bring back this one just because the other one's not working very well. Here we go. And there we are. I wanted to make sure it was lagging. I'm very sorry, everybody. I sent that link in there. If you want to see if that works better for you, try that out. Here is another one I'm working on. I'm doing my best. That's not it. Here we go. Loading this live stream. Here we go.
Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
Let me bring up
coming to California the other way around the last 2 years. But let's talk about crime.
Governor, hold on. Governor, wait a minute.
I think
hold on a second.
You said a lot of things that were factually untrue, including that 50-year crime low, which his own law enforcement team said you should not be using.
You have yet to address the issue, but I asked you twice. You don't want to answer it. But the issue of why the migration out of red states, out of blue states.
We just established more Floridians coming to California in the last 2 years than the
overall. You had a net loss of 7.
It's a fact.
Asserted it.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It is a fact.
Moving on. Let's go. Your states have vastly different income tax rates. Okay, it is what it is. These are the facts. California's highest rate for top earners, 13%. Married couple, for example, in California, earning a median income of $84,000, they have a 6% income tax in the state of California. Florida's income tax rate is 0% across all salaries, but it goes beyond income taxes. Property taxes are lower in California, but everything else is higher. Let's take a look at the numbers. These are the facts. The average property tax in California, 0.75%, Florida, 0.91%. Sales tax, California, 7.25%, Florida, 6%. Gas tax rate, California, 77 cents a gallon. That is a low estimate. It's up to $1 when you include mandatory fees. And in Florida, it's 35 cents. Corporate income tax, California, 8.84%, Florida, 5.5%. Governor Newsom, this is your question. Let me ask you. Obviously, you support a different philosophy, which is higher taxes.
Yes. No, hold on.
We have a tax question, Governor.
This is a very different
higher taxes.
I agree with you completely.
Most of those taxes
he has one of the
higher,
most regressive tax rates in the United States of America. It's the number 3 most regressive state in America. And what that means is simply this. Who does he tax? He taxes low-income workers more than we tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California. The question is a simple one. Who, Ron, are you for? It's a factual lie that the state of California is high tax, has the highest tax rate, but for whom? And it's a foundational and fundamental difference. You look at states like Texas, overwhelming majority of Texans pay more taxes than the state of California. So again, it's who you're for. And I think those values matter. And I appreciate you bringing up the issue of taxes.
How many people leave Florida to go to California because they pay less taxes? I've not seen that. Are people going from Florida to New York because they pay less taxes? Of course not. They come to Florida because they pay lower taxes. We don't even have an income tax. And yet California has a higher sales tax than we do. And that's one of the things that we do. But here's the thing. And I'll give Gavin credit. He did at least admit in his first answer, he's joined at the hip with Biden and Harris. He thinks Biden and Harris have done a great job. He thinks the economy is working because of their policies for Americans, and they are not. And so what California represents is the Biden-Harris agenda on steroids. They would love nothing more than to get 4 more years to be able to take the California model nationally. That would be disastrous for working people in this
Well,
country.
we'll talk about working people. They pay more in your state than the state of California charges for billionaires and millionaires. And it's just a
That's
value
just not
proposition.
true.
It's a fact. Again, you can't make
You
these
have
things
$6
up.
or $7 a gallon gas. How do they afford that? These are folks that are blue collar
You were
people.
talking
You're
about
going to force
tax rates
everybody to
in
buy
your
an
state.
electric vehicle. How are they going to be able to afford electric vehicles if you're
Seriously.
working class people? And I think the thing about
Exactly.
California, they have one of the highest inequality rates because, yeah, they've got Silicon Valley billionaires. They've got a lot of very wealthy people. They've got a lot of people that are on government assistance, but they've hollowed out their middle class. That's who's been
From a guy who has
leaving
a higher
California.
poverty rate
They've
than
been
the state
leaving
of
in other
California.
places. They
Let
go
me-
to Arizona. They go to Nevada.
In the
They go to all
interest of
these
time,
places.
let me just
Just like
I do
Biden
have
is
a
hollowing
follow-up.
out this
I do have a
country.
follow-up
They're
question.
doing
Ron,
in California.
I'm happy that you continue to talk. Let's talk a little bit about Bidenomics because I'm happy to take that on right now as well. And I think it's
Oh,
a
let's
fair
talk
point.
about
Supporter of it. That's-
Bidenomics.
I
I'd love
appreciate
to
you
talk about
acknowledging that.
14 million
Bidenomics.
jobs, 10 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents
It's
combined.
not
Because he
true.
had
815,000
because the
manufacturing
jobs.
jobs were because of the COVID
3.9%.
lockdown. Are you kidding me?
Good job, Ron.
3.9% unemployment. As he continues to talk over me, I'll talk to the American people.
I'll talk over you. You're an idiot.
3.9% unemployment, the lowest black unemployment
Pretty
in
idiot,
American
idiot.
history, the lowest unemployment for Hispanics in American history, the lowest unemployment for women in 70 years, the lowest black poverty rates in history. That's this administration's agenda. And by the way, as you smile and smirk over there, you should know this, the American people. Here's a guy who celebrated Bidenomics just this week, celebrating $28 million that came into your state because of the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant economic plans
All right.
since FDR. I'm proud of the work Biden and Harris have done.
Would you like to
Time of
respond?
the Great
And
Depression.
I do have a follow-up. The 6% rate on people, families, couple in California, they pay 6% income tax on $84,000 a year.
Low-wage workers
That's why
in the
he's-
state of Florida
that's what he
pay more
does.
than
I mean,
billionaire
I
state of
didn't ask
California.
about
We're-
Florida.
we-
He's spinning,
we-
Governor,
he is
Governor,
spinning,
I'm
he's
asking
But here's
about-
let
I
me
love
ask
how
next. Let me ask you a
Newsom
He's
question.
spinning
explains
lies.
how
Let me
Ron
ask you a
talked
question.
over
Let me
him,
ask-
and now
Cover
he
first,
just
Ron.
talked
Let
over
me
Let him
him.
answer, and then
May I
I'll
answer the
respond.
question?
Okay.
California has lower taxes, lower than 32 states for working families in the middle class, significantly lower
So
taxes
you
than
support
places
that? That's what
like
you say.
Texas.
You support a 6% income tax for
I'm
people,
against,
a couple
I'm
making
against
84,000.
regressive taxes that advantage billionaires and millionaires over working families and the working
Okay.
poor. People in his state pay more taxes on the low end than
mean-
we tax people on the
How
high end.
does
That's
paying
a fact. and it's
$7 a
value
gallon
proposition.
gas help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. How does paying an 8% sales tax help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. They have the highest taxes in the nation. People flee to be able to save money to get out of California. And you have working class people that move to these other states. Their dollars go much further. But here's the thing. They want to take this Bidenomics and they want to double down on this for the next 4 years. How many people are able to afford groceries now compared to what you were doing 3 or 4 years ago? I talked to people, I talked to a woman who had a cart full of groceries going in and they're ringing it up. And it got to be so expensive, she has to take a lot of the stuff out. That didn't used to be the case. People used to be able to work hard and get ahead. That is not true under Joe Biden. And you know what, Sean, one more final thing. California's unemployment rate is 60% higher than Florida's unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate is 2.8%.
That
Theirs is
dovetails into my
4.8%.
next question,
Why?
Governor.
Because it's a command and control economy. They have a political agenda that they're pursuing.
Let me
at the
ask that
expense of
question.
People.
On with the question of jobs. I think it's important. You know what? That affects
by the way,
that affects
the
everybody.
Biden administration, the last 3 years, it's
Is
been a
Joe
master
Biden paying you tonight?
3.9%.
I thought this was state
unemployment.
versus state.
No, but it's about the United States of America. I thought this guy was running for president of the United States. If
You
you're
are
running
too.
for a
You just won't
are you
admit it.
running for a third term?
You
Sounds
just
like
won't
you're
admit
running
it.
for a
You will not
third
admit it.
term.
Why don't you
All right,
just
gentlemen.
admit that you're
Why don't
running?
you just
All right, we
admit
can't
it? Why
talk-
don't
we
you just
can't
admit
talk-
it, Gavin?
I'm going to move
Come
on to the
on,
next
Gavin.
question.
He's
The
right.
unemployment rate in Florida right now
Yes.
is just 2.8%, as you stated. And California
Oh,
ranks
Bidenomics
second
is
worst
working
in the
so well,
country
isn't
at
it, Gav?
4.8%.
Just enjoy
Hold
the
on. This
lowest
question goes to
unemployment on
Governor
record in
DeSantis,
California.
and then you'll have a chance to respond. Governor DeSantis.
Well, right. I mean, they tax too much. They regulate too much. They have a political agenda. It's not a good climate for business. They've lost a lot of companies. A lot of companies have moved to Texas. We have had some to Florida, but they've lost a lot of companies to Texas because they're not doing a good job looking out for folks and not creating a good business environment. And, when I have people that come to Florida, they tell me, you guys actually want us to succeed in Florida. And they feel like when they're in California, they don't want business to succeed.
Is that what
and all
Disney's
that
saying?
stuff.
The Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, actually,
Is that what
yeah,
all these
I
other
think that's an
private sector
interesting point with
corporations say?
Disney.
Let's talk about
because
Disney. I would love
I
to
had
talk about
Disney open during COVID, and we made them a fortune, and we saved a lot of jobs. You had Disney closed inexplicably for over a year.
Well, I'd love to
You
talk
were not
about
following science. You were a lockdown governor. You did a lot of damage to your people.
Oh.
You had more kids locked out of school for a longer period of time in California than anywhere else in the country. It was the working class kids. It was the middle income kids. His kids were in private school. They were in class in person.
We'll get to COVID.
He locked
Let me-
people out because of the
wait,
teachers union.
you're gonna-
He is owned by the teachers union. You will never cross the teachers
This is
union.
just a lot of hot air.
Lock, stock, and
Let's
barrel.
talk about COVID. Let's talk about your record on COVID. You passed an emergency declaration
Why
before the
would
state
you
of
bring
California
that up,
did.
idiot?
You closed down your beaches, your bars, your restaurants.
False.
It's a fact.
The beaches
You had
were not closed.
quarantines.
Is we're
False.
You had quarantines. You had checkpoints all over the state of Florida. By the way, I didn't say that. Donald Trump laid you out on this, dead to right. You
That's
did
not
that.
true.
You followed science. You followed Fauci,
That's
Ron
not-
DeSantis.
that's not
He
false.
followed science.
not
He
true.
followed Fauci. You
And
were
why did
promoting.
everyone leave
Hold
California
on. You were
to come to
promoting
Florida? Because
vaccines.
we were open.
You were promoting
We were
vaccines. You
open.
even
We were
wore a
closed.
mask in
We were
September,
open.
son.
You were closed.
If it's okay with you, we'll do this.
Why were you
Why don't
closed
we do
for
this
so
in a way
long?
where we both can have
Why were you closed for
opportunity?
so long?
You wore
You
a
were
mask
closed.
with
All right, guys,
Donald
guys,
Trump
closed.
outside
I'm trying to let it breathe.
in September
Gavin,
2020. He did all of
Governor
that
Newsom.
until he decided to fall prey to the fringe of his party. And as a consequence of that, Ron, tens of thousands of people lost
How do you even
their
respond when
lives.
somebody
true.
is just
The
lying
equivalent,
straight out of
if
their
I
hat?
had your policies,
That's what
the
Newsom
equivalent
is
of
doing.
10 9/11s, tens of thousands of people lost their lives. And for what, Ron?
Those are more lies. In fact, the Lancet just did a study. Florida had a lower standardized COVID death rate than California did. That's a Lancet study.
let me-
One more thing.
29%
One more thing.
higher COVID
The other
death
thing
rate
we
in the
had,
state of
the other
California.
thing
Didn't even come
California
close.
had,
Your
California
record
had
is one
higher
of
excess
failure
mortality
on
than.
COVID.
All right,
than
gentlemen,
Florida.
gentlemen.
Let me talk about the excess mortality real quick.
Honestly,
Because the
hold on a
excess
second.
mortality
because
is other
I
things.
want to ask you both. If slow down, I want everyone to be heard. If I can ask you, I really do want this to breathe. I want this debate to breathe. I want it to organically develop. To
Insert
do that, I need
George
both your
Floyd
cooperation. I don't want to be a hall monitor. It's not my style. All right. You mentioned COVID. Let me go to COVID. And I plan to bring this up later, but you both took very different approaches as it comes to COVID. Governor Newsom, you issued the nation's first stay-at-home order on March 19th of 2020. Governor DeSantis, you took a lot of heat for reopening schools. You opened schools in Florida in August of 2020. All right, so here's the data, which I think is important. This is where the facts come in. Your state's death rates were almost identical.
This is factually untrue.
Hold on.
Factually untrue.
See?
Okay. And by the way, both your states with such different approaches, which is pretty fascinating, were both lower, significantly lower than the national average. These numbers come straight from the CDC.
Yeah.
So, Governor
Per
Newsom,
capita-
how do
per
you
capita death- well,
how do you
let's
explain
establish
that?
The facts. Per capita death rates
That's what that is.
in the state of Florida were
That's what that
29%, 29% per capita higher. 29%,
that's
tens
not what the
of
stats say
thousands
right
of
there.
people, tens of thousands of people
Don't lie
unnecessarily
about
not
it.
what
You
the
put the
stats
graphic
say.
up there.
Thousands
Don't
of
lie
people
about it. You
unnecessarily
don't need to lie
died
about it.
because your policies.
Just understand.
You're
You
lying
don't
about
need to
your
lie
record.
about it. No, it's not.
You were a lockdown governor.
it's
You
not.
locked down.
All right, one at a
your
time.
schools.
Gavin
You
Newsom,
locked down
finish
your
your thought.
I don't
bars and
understand
restaurants.
even-
That's just a fact. He's running
I'll-
away
I'll
from his
save it
record.
during the
He's
commercial
running away
break.
from the fact. Tens of thousands of people died
You saw
unnecessarily
the
because
CDC
he
number.
caved to it's 29% higher death rate in the state
Not
of
according to the
Florida
CDC.
versus the state of California.
quick
Tens of
response,
thousands
Governor.
of
You
people
showed
died.
the stats.
Fact.
The stats are very clear.
One at a time.
On a per capita age-adjusted basis, California and Florida basically the same. Now, why is that important? Because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the
People
state
died
very
under your
quickly.
watch.
We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union. That is having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. In the most recent NAEP exam, Florida came in number 3 for 4th grade reading. California was far, far behind. So you should apologize for not getting your kids in school. Why didn't you get the kids in school in the summer of 2020 like we did?
The only
You bowed to
person,
the teachers
the only
union. You
person,
didn't do the job you should have
John,
done.
all right,
the only
We need
person,
leadership.
quick,
And
quick,
the only person
all right,
who needs
one
to
at a time, quick
apologize
answer.
is Ron DeSantis for the tens of thousands of lives that died unnecessarily because he played to the fringe of his party.
We got to take a break.
And
Finish your thought.
No, and when it comes to the issue of schools, you better be careful. You had more learning loss during COVID than the national average in the state of California. It's a fact. More learning loss. Your economy contracted more in 2020.
Quick break.
Expanded slower than
Quick
California
break. Come
in
on.
2021. More to come on this topic.
More to come on this,
More
on this
to come.
debate.
Why is
I know it's starting off.
Newsom's trying to act like he's the host
It's
of it or
been
something.
rather dull at the start, but anyway, we got a lot to get to. Coming up, many important topics that we're going to be talking about, including one issue where you might find some agreement, actually, as we continue the blue state, red state debate. We are live. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for being with us.
Okay, everybody. So there's the beginning of the great red state, blue state debate that we have so far. And I've been taking some notes and I've been seeing some of the things that you guys have been saying as well. Obviously, I'm going to keep that up on the screen there so that we can keep an eye on what's going on with the commercials and everything. Fortunately, haven't gotten any kind of copyright strike yet. But thank you all for joining me. Once again, I always want to remind you guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, share with your friends, and in any way, support the channel in any way that you can. But I have some notes that I took, and I'll get to some comments if we have time. My first few notes that I saw. Newsom is coming off as a simp. I'm also going to admit fault. I was expecting Newsom, and he still kind of is doing it, but I was expecting him to basically just run his pseudo shadow presidential campaign on the stage. But no, he comes out saying that he will not be the 2024 nominee, which to me just makes him look like a simp. Once again, the leader of your party is a bumbling octogenarian who has no idea where he is at pretty much any time. He struggles to get a sentence out. When he does, it comes off as and you're like a relatively articulate. Yeah, you're a liar, but like you're a relatively articulate individual, and that's what's running your party. And you're like, let him do it, let him do it, let him do it. Like you are a simp, man. You are a simp for the party. You've sold your soul, and you're trying to sell more. Man, just like sell a kidney to the Democratic Party at that point. Also, when they were talking about taxes, this is the second note I had. When they were talking about taxes, and Newsom tried to keep going after DeSantis about regressive taxes. Now it's all regressive, and that that's the problem with Ron is that he pushes regressive taxes. You want to know the truth? I can turn down my mic a little bit. I see that. Sorry, I'm loud. Hope that's better. But when it comes to, you want to know what a regressive tax is? Sales tax. You want to know whose sales tax is higher? Actually, a lot of Florida, most of Florida, I believe Florida is a no sales tax place. Sales tax is a regressive tax. You want to know why? Because everybody pays the same amount of it, and you will pay more, and you're paying more of the money you have if you make less than somebody who has more money and is paying the same dollar amount in sales tax. So you want to talk about who is regressive in their taxing? Anybody who has sales tax. Just saying. I keep seeing my audio is being weird. Let me know what you guys saw. Mike's peaking. It might just be because I'm loud. But I'm hoping it's better now. Let me know. But then I had one more. Perfect. Thank you, Lucas. That's just, it's a live show. It's how it happens. But so Ron is the lockdown governor. That's what we ended on. I see you, license. I've been told it's better now. I'm hoping it's better now. But Ron is the lockdown governor. That's what we were being told near the end of the last segment, is that Ron is the lockdown governor. How does that make sense? Even if it were true, all the things, because there was briefly when pretty much every state in the country had a stay-at-home order and we were told 2 weeks to slow the spread. Ron DeSantis, every governor pretty much had some level of it would be best for people to stay at home for about 2 weeks. Beaches were not closed. Businesses were not forced to shut down. Recommendations were given in Florida. However, in California, I remember everything being shut down. And then I also remember Nancy Pelosi still going to get her hair done at a salon that specially opened just for her that was not supposed to be open. So even if Newsom, everything Newsom said was correct, even if Newsom was not lying and that Florida was actually locked down at one point, how does that benefit Newsom? His was still more locked down. Let's get back to the debate here.
And welcome back to Hannity as we continue our blue state, red state debate with Governor Gavin Newsom and Governor Ron DeSantis. Gentlemen, let's move on to the issue of borders. Joe Biden's message to illegal immigrants during his campaign was, let them come. I'd have the tape, but I said I wouldn't play the tape. And since taking office, Biden said he's gotten control of the border. Vice President Kamala Harris, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Biden's press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre have all said the border is either secure or the border is closed. Yet the Border Patrol says, well, guess what? They have been a record 6.5 million encounters with illegal immigrants and so-called asylum seekers at the border since President Biden took office. The administration says, well, they don't know how many people actually are in the country illegally. Gentlemen, the American people, I ask you, I believe it's your turn, Governor Newsom, have the American people on the issue of borders, you're defending the Biden administration. They're saying the border's secure. They're saying the border's closed. Those are the numbers from our own Border Patrol. Are the American people being lied to?
I don't think they're being lied to. The Biden administration put out a comprehensive plan day one when he got sworn into office 3 years ago, and the Republican Party didn't touch it. They haven't moved on it. They play politics with us. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's probably one person I wouldn't listen to on this topic more than the guy that I'm standing next to, Ron DeSantis. He lacks any credibility on the issue of immigration. When he was in Congress, he supported amnesty. When he's in Congress, you supported John Boehner's bill. It's a fact. When you were in Congress, you supported Obama's. You supported Obama's efforts to advance comprehensive reform.
False.
The last guy you want to talk to on the issue of immigration, your immigration policy can best be described as a governor from the state of Florida going into another state, the state of Texas, lying to migrants, promising them jobs and housing, sending them to an island, Martha's Vineyard, and then sending them to a parking lot in Sacramento, California. I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying. So again, a guy who stands here, who's been out on the Republican debate stage saying, well, he's going to be tough, he's going to shoot people with backpacks, and that he has a strategy to potentially even invade our second largest trading partner, Mexico, that has a record of supporting amnesty and supporting reforms under the Obama administration, is the last guy to be standing on stage talking about the issue of immigration reform tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's deja vu all over again with that flurry of lies. This is a guy that says the Biden administration is not lying to the public about the border. They go to the White House briefing room every day. They say the border's secure. They are lying to you. We know that that's not true. Gavin Newsom is lying to you when he says somehow I supported these things, which I didn't do. He's also lying to you about what it's going to take to solve this problem. California is a sanctuary state. They thumb their nose at federal immigration law, and this has real consequences. There was an illegal alien, Herbert Nixon Flores, who was in L.A., in custody. He was a repeat criminal. ICE wanted to take him into custody because then they would be able to deport him. LA refuses to work with ICE, and so they wouldn't turn him over. They end up releasing him on the street. He ends up murdering the mother of a 3-year-old little girl. Those policies are deadly. They do not work. And I would tell you this, the Martha's Vineyard transport, Martha's Vineyard said it was a sanctuary jurisdiction. Kind of reminds me about Gavin Newsom when he restricted Californians, then he went to the French Laundry. These liberal elites, they like to impose burdens on you. They don't want to have to face the consequences of their actions. So we've got a lot of elites who want open borders, who lecture everybody else about it. And the minute they have to deal with any of the consequences, oh man, all hell breaks loose.
How about the consequences?
Hold on, we're moving on. We're moving to the next question.
We'd be much better
on the same topic. On the same topic, this is important. This is a very important question. While some migrants I know want to come to America for a better life for themselves and their family, find the American dream, I totally sympathize with them. Many good people fleeing very bad situations abroad. but others are abusing the asylum process. And in the process, in search of where they're coming from, well, we're now learning that many are coming from some of our top geopolitical foes, countries with little to no vetting, or people that are coming in. They're not being vetted. Look at these numbers. Between October 2021, October 2023, border agents encountered 6,386 nationals from Afghanistan, 3,153 from Egypt, 659 from Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, 538 from Syria, 12,605 from Russia, and a whopping 20.
That Chinese number should terrify all of us.
The next question goes to you, Governor Newsom. What are the odds that Biden's open borders have allowed terrorists and terror cells unvetted into this country? Is that a clear and present danger to every American?
The odds are 100%. Of course, our enemies are going to take advantage of this. He opened the border. He's not. He's violating his oath of office to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. He's knowingly having 8 million come in. And yes, there's criminal aliens. There are terrorists. There's a lot of fentanyl. That we've had tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths. I've met a lot of angel parents who have lost kids to fentanyl overdose. And the problem is, you'll have a college kid that may take some pill not knowing that there's fentanyl in it. And then right there, that can be fatal. They're poisoning our people. And Joe Biden is sitting on his hands. He refuses to take care of the border. He refuses to hold the drug cartels accountable. This is the vision of Biden, Harris, Newsom. Open borders. Americans suffer and Americans continue to die because of fentanyl overdose. There will be, unfortunately, a terrorist attack at some point that we'll be able to trace back to our southern border.
God forbid. By the way, do you see that risk, Governor Newsom?
Hold on.
Governor, do you see the risk?
Joe Biden put out not only a comprehensive plan, he consistently puts up plans. Hold on, no, but Sean,
is there a risk?
I'm going to answer your question. I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need.
I understand that.
I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state. On the issue of immigration, Joe Biden put a $14 billion immigration package up in front of Congress, 2,300 border agents, as well as custom officials, 1,000 new law enforcement officers to deal with the fentanyl issue. And by the way, that's a major issue in your state, 41% higher overdose rates than the state of California. And here's what I haven't heard, not a peep from Ron DeSantis. They want to demagogue this issue. You want to play politics with issues. You don't want to solve this issue. Why don't you lead your party and support that $14 billion package?
Hold on. I have a follow-up. Governor Newsom, I appreciate your answer. You have mentioned comprehensive immigration reform many times. It's not happened under Joe Biden. I don't think it's going to happen next year.
Put a detailed plan in. Republicans in Congress refused to act on it.
Let me finish my
Congress to work with this administration.
My question was, with all of these millions and millions of people coming into this country unvetted, the question was and remains, is this a clear and present danger from the countries I put up on the screen? Is that a clear and present danger to America? And what do you do in the interim?
That's why the President of the United States put a $14 billion package in front of Congress they can act on today.
And what would that?
They haven't done anything
what would that
in 2 years, this Congress.
What do you
Literally
support?
not a single piece
you support
of
a border wall?
legislation. I support the $14 billion package President's put forward. That includes 2,300 border agents and customs officials. By the way, also includes $850 million in new technology for border security. You hear nothing from Ron DeSantis. You hear nothing, Sean, respectfully. You hear nothing from the Republican Party. They play politics.
I'm almost out of time.
Put the plan up to address
does it
the
worry?
anxiety
Let me ask the question another way. Does it worry you that our top geopolitical foes, the #1 state sponsor of terror, Iran, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Syria, that they're at our southern border? You're a border state governor. Does that concern you at all?
Why else would I have put the answer is yes. Why else would I put the National Guard? Why would I have just increased it by 50% on the largest port in the Western Hemisphere in my state? I mean, this guy has no record. The fact that you supported amnesty, the fact
That's
you
a
supported
lie.
Obama's
That's a lie.
reforms,
That's a
those are
lie.
facts. They're just
Such a
simple facts.
lie.
The
You're just
fact that your
making things
greatest
up.
contribution, Ron,
You are just
to this
making things
debate is
up. Well,
shooting
listen, here's
people
the
with
thing.
backpacks.
I don't
mean, that's
mind.
so inhumane.
I don't
It's
mind
so
him lying to
unserious,
me.
Ron.
I don't mind Gavin lying to me, but I do mind him lying to you. He is sitting there saying that Joe Biden is willing to solve this problem. Is there anybody out there that actually believes this?
Support
Joe
his
Biden
plan.
created this
One at a time.
problem.
Support
So
the
if he's
plan.
willing to lie to you about that, you know he's lying to you about all these other facts and figures,
Exactly.
about all this other stuff. He's just throwing stuff out to see what sticks against the wall. This is a slick, slippery politician whose state is failing. People are leaving his state, and he's trying to run interference
All right.
for his failure.
We've
You
got to
won't
take
answer
our
the question.
We've got to take our
You will
second.
not
We've got to
answer.
take our second break. When we come back, we have a lot more ground to cover. Quick break. We have a lot of ground to cover. More with Governors DeSantis and Newsom, the great blue-red state debate, as we continue from Alpharetta, Georgia. Again, thank you for being with us.
Well, that was short. Only a few minutes there before they took another quick break. We'll have that up on the screen so that I can keep tabs on it, and you guys can too, and keep an eye on all of it. Once again, thank you guys for joining. I'm Kev Phares. If you've never seen me before, host of the Speechless Radio Show on Cities 92.9. I'm 22, almost a graduate of Illinois State University, but I'm here on YouTube. I'm here on Rumble. I'm all over. And so definitely don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment what you think, and share it with your friends, all that fun stuff. I am seeing these comments. Keep posting comments. If you're on Rumble, I can't bring them up on screen, unfortunately, but I love seeing them. I do see somebody over here saying headbutt over on Rumble says, I live in Cali and Newsom is a POS. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that, headbutt. And thank you so much for tuning in. Definitely check out, if you're on Rumble, check out my YouTube channel, Speechless with Kev. And you guys can like, subscribe, share, comment there. That's where I do most of my content, but I am on Rumble, obviously, for some stuff. Let's check out Jerry McKinsey. Great guy. I can't handle this. Liberalism kills nations. Yep. As I'm actively losing brain cells during this. Yeah, I don't disagree, Hatter. This is exactly like License said earlier. Like, Gavin Newsom is a stellar liar. He'll do it straight to your face, and just as Ron said, he the problem is that he's doing it to many American people, and the people that he's doing it to, the thing is the people that are watching right now. We know when he lies. Most of us. The problem that we have is that there's a lot of people in America who will catch a clip of this debate on Twitter, and it'll be Newsom destroys Ron DeSantis, and it'll be 30 seconds of him going after him about like immigration stuff. And it will not have the rebuttal. It will not have any context. It won't have the numbers, anything like that. And that's what people will see, and that's what they'll believe. That's the problem we have right now in America, is that that's what dominates people's minds because they have short attention spans. That's really what it is. David, come on. So David hosts a show here at Cities 92.9. He's a great guy. You guys should go check out his channel, the David Paul Blumenshine Show. He's kidding when he says Newsom for the win. That's probably why he misspelled Newsom, which is perfectly fine. He's obviously kidding. He was considering coming in tonight, but I'm pretty sure it was past his bedtime. If anything, just watching this alone is past his bedtime. But definitely go check out the David Paul Blumenshine Show. Different from my show, but always interesting. And so great guy, has been a mentor to me for a lot of my time here in Bloomington Normal in Central Illinois. So let's see what else we got. Let's get the comments going as much as we can. There wasn't too much to go off of the immigration stuff, something we all know. Of course, Newsom would go after basically in every way that he can, just avoiding, or not avoiding, but calling Ron DeSantis a racist without calling him a racist. That's essentially what he's trying to do, which is insane. They will cherry pick this debate to death on MSDNC, and CNN. Love it. Love it. Alex, this is so true. California farms are dying out and reselling into big solar. I missed that one from Alex. Thank you for commenting that. Newsom is forcing farmers out even though they run the state. And then Demon Goral, who isn't real. Still a crazy name, but yep. David, you're funny. You're funny, David. You're up near Rosemont Guillotine? Man, I'm kind of from up there originally. Shoot me an email. I always say it to people too. Email me, speechlesskp@gmail.com. We're coming back. But email me, and we can get lunch sometime. You're up in Rosemont.
All right, welcome back to the great blue state, red state debate with Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Ron DeSantis. Again, thank you both for being here. We're going to take a little breathing room. I don't mind the debate taking on a life of its own, but let each other breathe. I don't want to be the hall monitor. Please don't turn me into that. Anyway, let's look at the issue of crime. FBI numbers, violent crime nationally for each of your states. Keep in mind, this statistic shows what is the combined rate of homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, the year 2022. On the national level, the rate was 380.7 offenses per 100,000 people. In California, meanwhile, the rate was much higher, 499.5 offenses per 100,000. In Florida, lower, 258.9 offenses per 100,000. Governor Newsom, let me start with you. Your numbers are way higher than the national average. How do you explain that when safety and security, I would argue, is a prerequisite for the pursuit of happiness?
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. We're near 50-year lows, down 55% violent crimes in the state of California from the 1990s. And I want to compare and contrast that
When the
with the
Rodney
issue
King
in
riots
Florida
were.
that you didn't mention,
Yeah.
and that's the murder rate. And let's broaden it more broadly. The issue is 7 out of the top
Those numbers
10,
were part of the murder rate.
7 of the top 10 murder rates in the United States of America are red states. He has a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. He has a higher murder rate. Go to places like
stabbings?
Jacksonville.
I
Go to
don't know,
places
but
like
what about
Orlando.
stabbings? I'm
Go to
just curious.
places like Tampa. The murder rate's off the charts compared to cities like San Francisco. And you know what? Even more egregiously, Sean, and I think this is important, the American people deserve an answer from you, Ron. You had one of the worst mass shootings in American history, Parkland. 17 kids were gunned down, lives lost, 17 others, lives torn asunder. You had a young girl by the name of Jamie Gutenberg, whose father pleaded with you to do something about it. And you know what you did? You did the exact opposite. You made it easier for felons to get guns without background checks, without any training. These people pleaded with you, the parents and the families, to get tough on gun safety. And again, you made it easier for felons. He said of you, Ron, and I agree with him, after you signed that concealed carry bill, which increases the likelihood, Fred Gutenberg said, of more Jamies losing their lives and more Parklands, he called you weak, pathetic, and small. So with respect, I appreciate you're talking to police officers in the state of California. You may want to spend a little bit
Also
more
a
time,
lie.
not on the Ohio Trail and other places across this country. You may spend a little more time back in your home state and address the murder and gun violence in your own backyard.
Governor
So this
DeSantis.
is the slick politician. You put up the rates. He has 500 per 100,000. Florida is 250. So that's almost twice as much. And he's trying to spin that to say California's doing good. People are leaving California in droves, largely because public safety has collapsed. They have, I mean, you go, when Californians come to Florida, one of the things they'll say, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. They can go to the store, get toothpaste off the shelf, pay for it, and leave, because in a lot of these places in California, everything's under lock and key because they basically legalized retail theft. They have chosen in California to put the interests of the criminals over public safety. They're easier on sex offenders. They're easier on all these crimes that are leading to a collapse in the quality of life. And if you just walk around San Francisco, you will see, and I think it's interesting, Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So he took the San Francisco model, turned that into a template for California's collapse. Now the left wants to take the California model and use that as a template for America's collapse. We cannot let
Hold
that
on.
happen.
Wait, I got to, Governor, no, I got a follow-up question. You brought up
Jacksonville, Florida, compared
Governor,
to
if
San
you may.
Francisco, is 126% higher.
Governor,
In
let me bring up
Orlando,
your,
it's 84%
the next
higher.
question dovetails
In
into
Tampa,
this.
it's 75% higher. What
Let me also say,
what are you talking about
you're
when
just
it comes to this?
jabbering. I know
No,
you like
just
to
jabbering.
jabber.
By the way, those
I
are
know
all.
you-
I know you
I
like
know
to
you like
jabber.
to
You're just
lie.
jabbering.
You're uncomfortable.
He put you
just
put
make
the
stuff up.
statistics up there.
Those are all
Your
facts.
crime is
What are you
higher.
doing
We
about the
know your
gun
crime's
murder rate in
higher.
your
Gentlemen,
state?
We know
gentlemen,
What are you
I'm
doing
going to move
about
on.
the gun murder rate in your state?
We'll let the audience,
Murders in the state
we'll
of
let the audience
That's
look at
funny,
the
Jim.
numbers, the
Shameful what
FBI
you
numbers, and
did
decide.
to those
According
Parkland
to
families.
the
Shameful.
gun control advocacy group, every town for gun safety.
Yep.
Okay. California has the most, as you support, I know, Governor, restrictive gun laws in the United States.
Yes.
Florida has the 19th most restrictive. Yet, if you look at the year 2019, when each of you took office, California has had 21 mass shootings. Florida has had 9. Now, that is according to a USA Today, AP, Northeastern University database.
Get shit on, Gavin.
Keep in mind,
Get
a mass
shit
killing
on.
is defined as the intentional killing of 4 or more victims, excluding the deaths of unborn children and the offenders by any means within a 24 period of time. I believe, Governor DeSantis, you get this first. Go ahead.
What California wants to do is they want to make it harder for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. Then they go easy on the criminals who are perpetrating the crime. They don't stand up for the men and women of law enforcement. That's why a lot of people have left the state, because they don't get the support from the communities that they need. And, you know, Gavin told another lie. He said we made it easier for felons to do. Felons are not allowed to possess firearms. That's federal law. That's been long
No
standing.
background checks.
That is an
No background
absolute
checks for
lie
concealed
that
carry.
he's saying
No
like that.
background
That
checks
has
for
nothing to
concealed
do
You'll
with
get your
buying
time.
or
Go ahead.
purchasing a weapon. So that's just a lie, another lie that's coming up. But here's the thing. People are leaving California in droves because he has failed to stand up for public safety. They are on an ideological joyride to let people out of prison early, to go easy on them. Heck, your buddy, Gavin's buddy in Los Angeles, Gascon, he doesn't even prosecute. When you have, when I was in Southern California for the Reagan debate, a lot of the women tell me they have to take off all their jewelry just to be able to go shopping, because otherwise they're going to get mugged. That is the reality that people are facing in California.
All right.
Gavin can try to put lipstick on that pig, but the fact of the matter is he has failed the people of California.
Governor Newsom.
No, I love this guy talking about backing the blue when you dangled pardons for January 6 insurrectionists, 85 of them that were literally charged with attacking law enforcement. You talk a big game about backing the blue. With all due respect to the crime rate, again, he's not answering the fact that he has a higher murder rate than the state of California, a 66% higher gun death rate than the state of California. And I can easily answer this point. Gun safety saves lives. I don't think it, I know it. And the data bears that out in the state of California. California proudly does lead in terms of common sense gun safety. Common sense gun safety saves lives. You had the chance to do something meaningful. You had a chance to do something on behalf of those Parkland families. You did the exact opposite. You moved in the exact opposite direction. With all due respect, look at your own backyard, Ron.
So
You're
I
not
will do
mining
that,
your
but can I
backyard
respond
on
to
this
that?
issue.
I will do that because we had 2 radical left Soros district attorneys, like your buddy Gascon in LA, one in Tampa, one in Orlando. They were endangering the public, and I removed them from their posts. Gavin Newsom has not lifted a finger to rein in Gascon in LA. That city has collapsed. That county's collapsed because he is not enforcing the law. So that's just the and here's the thing.
American city.
This is what's
That's just
happening.
nonsense.
That
That's just
California model,
We're a little
that's
over
been
time.
done in Philadelphia,
15
Baltimore, all
15
across the
seconds. We got to go break.
Come on. I mean, you're running for president of the United States. You're talking down the great state of California. You're talking down one of the great American cities, Los Angeles. That's insulting. And you're doing it because you're trying to obfuscate the facts that you have a higher murder rate in the state of Florida and the state of California.
We got to
have some
take
of
a
the
break.
lowest crime rates we've had in 50 years.
We'll have more with Governor DeSantis, Governor Gavin Newsom on the other side as we continue the great state debate, blue versus red. There's hardly any differences. A lot of ground to cover. Thank you for being with us. We are in beautiful Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for joining us on Hannity.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody, this has just been fiery, fiery, fiery. What did I say? It was going to be a bloodbath. And what has it been? Just that. Well, I see there's a lot of people coming into the comments. I noticed we have some new people in here. Tanner, thank you so much for joining. You asked earlier, and I think it's perfect for us to just recap where we've gone so far. Let someone catch me up. And as Jim had said so eloquently, a guy in a red tie and a guy in a blue tie said some things, and the country is still screwed. It absolutely okay. So screwed. I think it's funny, and colloquially, yes, I will say it, but there is optimism, everybody. We got to try to have some optimism, right? The country is screwed if we don't do something about it. That's the thing. If we don't do something about it, and I'm hopeful that people can see right through the lies of Gavin Newsom in this. I think David said it really well when he said, "Who needs a scoreboard, Gavin? They put up the chart." You have to give the guy credit for lying like it's the absolute truth. How do you do that? Like, honestly, it's a little impressive the way that Gavin Newsom is able to, you have the statistics right in front of you. The charts are right there. And yet you still say, you don't try to be like, oh, well, I disagree with your sources or here's the, like anything like that. No, you're just like, I'm going to ignore that and say exactly the opposite of what those charts say, of what your statistics say. And Hannity cites them. It's like the Associated Press. It's not like we're talking, it's not like they're all like out of the Gateway Pundit or something, or like some super partisan. I mean, Associated Press is more liberal, but they're using it to back up a more conservative viewpoint. Insane. What's the drinking game? Man, I should have come up with a drinking game for this one. I'll come up with one for the next one. I can't even think. Maybe just every time Newsom lies, but if I did that, I'd be hammered already and on the ground. Every time there's hand waving, sure. Gaslighting is the official language of the left. Honestly, not bad. And it's not just gaslighting. What they do is they will accuse the other side of doing exactly what they are doing. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. I mean, that's what Hillary Clinton claimed, that they were, that Republicans were colluding with Russia to steal the 2016 election. And then when you look into everything, you're like, oh, they actually used like Russians to spread that information around, Russian bots to spread that information around on the internet. So who really colluded? They do it all the time. They accuse the other side of doing exactly what they're doing. And it's, ugh. Let's see what else you got. Kev's in the kitchen. I'm absolutely in the kitchen. I am cooking. The pilot light is on, and I'm not happy. Here's the other thing, too, that I think was funny. Near the end of there, so Newsom or DeSantis goes after everything that Newsom is saying. He goes after the policy. He goes after what's going on in these cities. And then Newsom is like, you're disparaging the great state of California. No. Earlier in the debate, DeSantis literally discussed, at least hovered around the fact that California has more natural advantages than pretty much any other state in the country, which with its vast biomes, both naturally and economically across the state, and the level of business and infrastructure and just everything that California has, it is poised to be a much stronger state than it currently is. In fact, naturally, California has more native animal and plant species than any other state in the nation, and is also home to the greatest number of endemic species, which is so those are species that occur nowhere else in the world. So like they have so many interesting things. California is a wealth of natural and mental resources. Gavin Newsom just knows how to ruin it all. All right, let's get back to that.
Hi, welcome back to Hannity, the great red state, blue state debate. We continue with Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, Governor Gavin Newsom of the state of California. Gentlemen, let's turn to the issue of parental rights. Now, in March of last year, Governor DeSantis, as you know, you signed the Parental Rights in Education bill. And let me read from it. It says, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in according with state standards. Critics have called the bill, quote, homophobic. This is the one they branded the Don't Say Gay bill. I ask you, Governor DeSantis.
Never says gay in the bill anywhere. It doesn't say it anywhere in the bill.
Especially the lower grades. Should schools, and maybe all grades, should schools be focusing on reading, writing, math, science, history, computers, and maybe leaving values, considering parents might have different values than teachers at school, to the parents to religious institutions? Or is it the role of the school? What is the role?
The role of the school is to educate kids, not indoctrinate kids. It's not to impose an agenda. It's to do the basics. And what we've said in Florida is it's inappropriate to tell a kindergartner that their gender is a choice. It's inappropriate to tell a second grader that they may have been born in the wrong body. Now, California has that. They want to have that injected into the elementary school. My wife and I have a 7-5 and a 3-year-old. We don't think that that's appropriate. And I know most parents do not think it's appropriate. It's also important to respect parental rights to know what curriculum is being used in the classroom, and everything should be age appropriate. I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people like on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate. And so we're going to stand for the rights of parents. I think we need to do that nationwide. I don't think you can have a situation where some states just trample on the rights of parents. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the education and upbringing of their kids.
I mean, by the way, you've been on a banning bench. 1,406 books have been banned just last year under Ron DeSantis' leadership. I love that he keeps pulling this out. I've seen this. He's been doing this all over the campaign trail. What's wrong with Toni Morrison's books?
It's not banned.
What's wrong? It's not true.
Not.
What's wrong with Amanda Gorman's?
It's not banned.
And the poetry. 1,406. 1,406 books have been banned on your banning binge in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, come on, California, it's in our Constitution, parental engagement. It's called the LCFF process. We actually require parental engagement on curriculum development. And we don't, complete lie, we don't require K through 3rd grade sexual education. That doesn't happen until middle school. What you're doing is using education as a sword for your cultural purge. And you know what, with all due respect, you know, I remember in the 1970s, we had a bill called the Briggs Initiative. And there was a guy by the name of Ronald Reagan, so offended by the Briggs Initiative, which was the original Don't Say Gay bill. In that case, it was not allowing teachers that happened to be gay to teach. And Reagan had the courage to stand up and he said, you can't catch gay like you can measles. I don't like the way you demean people. I don't like the way you demean the LGBTQ community. I don't like the way you demean and humiliate people you disagree with, Ron. I really find this fundamentally offensive. And this is a core value that distinguishes the values of my state and frankly, the vast majority of Americans against the weaponization of education and the purging that he's advancing.
I have a follow-up question for you, though. And by the way, first, Governor, yes or no? Are the book banning issues, is that not a state issue? Is that a state issue or a local issue?
Local, and he's
okay. That's all I want to know.
The home book wasn't there. That was
the
not
question I have.
1,400
Here's the question I have for you, Governor Newsom. Some of the books you're talking about, one is called, the governor just brought it up, it's called Gender Queer, a memoir. Explicit pornographic book showing sex acts. Another, Flamer, graphic book about young boys performing sex acts at summer camp. This book is Gay, a book containing instructions on the ins and outs of gay sexuality. Let me finish. Let's Talk About It, a book that contains graphic descriptions about how to masturbate for males and females. My question to you, Governor Newsom, those books, do you believe that's appropriate for school districts to teach kids? Yes or no?
Come on, those aren't. That's not part of the curriculum. They're not teaching
those
kids
are those are books that were in school.
Hold on. The bottom line is you are on a book banning binge. Your state, 1,406 books, 3,362 in this country.
You didn't answer. Florida's what about those books?
Florida. That's not. We don't provide for K through 3rd grade education, that kind of curriculum. It's just made up. These guys make it up. It's part of this cultural purge.
Should it be
just a
what grade would it be acceptable?
What I find offensive, Sean and Ron, what I find offensive is a very significant number of these books happen to be LGBTQ books. A significant number of these books happen to be about African Americans.
Do you think it's
honestly find it offensive? I told you we don't teach that. We don't teach that.
It's just
We
like
have
a
sex
straight up
education
lie.
in middle schools and high schools where it's appropriate. This is a ginned up, made up issue to divide this country. You talk about dividing this country. This is part of the culture war, the weaponization of grievance. This is part using education. We're focusing on math, science. We're focusing on reimagining our school
We're going to
system.
get to education
He's
next.
criminalizing teachers and criminalizing
California already
librarians.
saved us.
Check out
They've
the wrong
used the
book.
schools to impose a liberal agenda, social justice. They have this ethnic studies where they're dividing people. That's what they're doing. But let me just say something about parents' rights, because he says California respects parents' rights. This is Rich. He's been telling a lot of whoppers tonight. This may be the biggest. In California, if you're a parent in Iowa or New Hampshire or South Carolina, your minor child can go to California without your knowledge or without your consent and get hormone therapy, puberty blockers, and a sex change operation, all without you knowing or consenting. How in the heck is that honoring parents' rights when you're bringing people from out of state to go around their parents' backs and getting life-altering surgeries? That is radical. That is
Ron,
extreme.
these kids
That is an assault on parents' rights.
You know what? Ron,
it's not for you to decide. It's for the parents to decide. And the parents do not want their kids going to these other things.
Let me go to a follow-up. Let me stay on a follow-up. Let's turn to the issue of education.
Where's your decency and humanity and grace when it comes
to ripping somebody away.
Gentlemen, please. Nobody can hear you.
That is wrong. That is wrong.
I'll tell you.
All right.
That should not stand in this country.
Let us turn, gentlemen, if I may, to the issue of education. Here is public school spending per K through 12 students, according to the Education Data Initiative from the U.S. Census Bureau and National Center for Education. Florida spends nearly $12,000 per student, while California spends over $16,000. Florida is ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Report. In terms of state education rankings, California ranks 20th. Governor Newsom, what is your explanation? You spend more money and they have better results in Florida. Why?
I told you what I'm doing in public education. We created a brand new grade, pre-K for all. We're doing after school and summer school for all. We're reimagining the school day, not just the school year. We just provided 3.4 million of our students upwards of $2 billion for child savings accounts and the opportunity to start businesses when they graduate. We have one of the best records under COVID, during COVID. And again, you didn't answer to the fact you had more learning loss. Ron DeSantis had more learning loss during COVID. 4th grade reading, 4th grade math, 8th grade reading, 8th grade math. We outperformed you in it's a fact during COVID in every one of those categories. I can't wait to get all the PolitiFacts tonight because Ron, you keep denying some basic fundamental facts on health, wealth, and education. We outperformed you during COVID. You talk about things to apologize. You should apologize for your COVID record. You were with Fauci. You aligned with vaccines. You aligned with CDC guidelines until you didn't, and tens of thousands of people.
Let's return our focus to education.
Well, when we opened the schools, we bucked all of those people June of 2020. He kept the schools closed for a long time, and that had devastating impacts. And why? What Gavin Newsom does in California is kowtow to the teachers union. Whatever they tell him to do, he does. He will never balk the teachers union. That's why the kids were locked out of school for so long. Joe Biden is in the pocket of the teachers union, and so is Kamala Harris. That's why they fought school openings when he came in there. When they had that in Ron, it's Biden came into office and he brought in the teachers union to be able to do all these different things to try to keep the schools closed. So the Democratic Party, the far left in this country, they are owned lock, stock, and barrel by the teachers union. I beat the teachers union in Florida to get the schools open, first in the country during COVID, also to do universal school choice. Every parent in Florida has a right to send their kid to the school of their choice. We're winning these fights. California is bending the knee to the union because they control the politicians.
Let's move on. A topic that will seemingly play a very large role in the future elections, and it's the issue of abortion.
Yes.
I have a question for both of you. I'll ask you to please respect the individual's right to answer uninterrupted. And that is Governor DeSantis. I think it's actually your turn, Governor Newsom, if you don't mind.
All good.
Most medical professionals believe a baby is viable outside of a mother's womb by between 24 and 26 weeks. That is the general scientific consensus. It changes. There are some variations on it. Abortion is legal in your state, quote, up to viability. is my understanding, unless the mother's health is in danger. I'd like to get you on the record. You've been unwilling to answer this question. Should there be any restrictions on the issue of abortion that you support at all? Because funding in California, you have allocated in your budget $265 million for abortion last year alone. My question, very specific. Do you support any restrictions at all on abortion, especially in months 7, 8, and 9, past viability?
I'm going to answer that question, but let's talk about the issue of abortion. Let's talk about the issue of abortion.
You're going to answer it?
I'm going to answer that question. I'll repeat that. But I think this is important and it bears repeating. Ron DeSantis has signed the most extreme anti-abortion bills in America. He signed a bill
I'm not going to answer the question.
any
I'm just going to
exceptions
get
for
mad
rape
at the other guy.
and incest.
Idiot.
And then he said it didn't go far enough and decided to sign a 6-week ban before women even know they're pregnant, Ron, before women can even access a doctor's appointment. So extreme is your ban that criminalizes women and criminalizes doctors that even Donald Trump said it was too extreme. On the issue of the extreme exception that you highlight as it relates to the issue of later term abortion, it's almost always because of a fetal anomaly, the life of the mother. And in those rare cases, I trust, and answer your question, I trust the mother and her doctor to make that decision.
So in other words, I want to be clear on this. If a woman and her doctor, for any reason,
not for any reason.
No.
I'm extremely rare.
Should there be?
I know where you guys are going, Sean. You're even uncomfortable with this whole issue. This is where you guys have to go to cover for the extreme anti-abortion agenda of Ron DeSantis.
Should there be? Would you support a ban on abortion in 7th, 8th, or 9th month if the mother's life is not in jeopardy?
Extreme exception. People aren't going on and having abortions.
Should it be illegal then?
Unless something devastating has happened.
Should it be illegal?
It should be up to the mother and her doctor and her conscience. And it
so the answer is no restriction.
I've already answered it, and I'll just reinforce it. To cover up, again, hold on, for the most extreme abortion ban in the country. I have a simple question, though. This is important.
No. I'm asking the question.
Ron DeSantis, will you or will you not sign a 6-week ban in the unlikely case you become president of the United States? Would you sign a national ban?
Let's talk about your
state. Answer that. He's getting saved.
You had 15 weeks.
Fundamental question.
You had a 15-week rule in California. You reduced it to 6. My question is this. What was your thinking behind it? Was it for religious reasons? Was it for scientific reasons? What was the reason for you from going from 15 weeks to 6 weeks?
Well, I believe in a culture of life. I think we're better off when everybody counts, when everybody has an opportunity to do well. And that bill attaches when there's a detectable heartbeat for the child. And some states have done that. Some states have done others. Some states have done later. And obviously they have a right to do that. But I think about one of our Floridians, a lady named Penny Hopper. She actually survived a late-term abortion back in the day. And they left her on the table there to basically wither away. Her grandmother came, saved her, brought her to a hospital, saved her, and she ended up living a good life. So she counts and she matters. And I think that what the position that we have from the modern left, including in California, is that they will take your tax dollars and they will fund abortion all the way to the moment of birth. He's wrong when he says the later terms are all because of this. 88% past 15 weeks are in fact elective from the Florida data. He doesn't keep data there, but that is really extreme to take your tax dollars and to do this all the way up to the moment of birth. He didn't answer your question about any type of protections at all for a baby that has a beating heart, that can feel pain, that is viable.
Let me hold on.
Respectfully, this is an important conversation. Will you or will you not support a national?
Sean, why didn't you answer
or will you
question?
not support
why didn't
a
you
national
support?
ban if it lands on your desk? You couldn't answer that in any other context.
Okay,
Answer it
gentlemen,
tonight. It's a
we're
simple
moving
yes or no.
on to
By
the
way,
next
hey,
issue.
no, Sean, not a
You
next
never
issue.
gave a
The
week.
American people should know this. I'll answer it for Ron DeSantis. Can't answer it. He will sign that extreme
Okay,
6-week
let me move
national
on.
ban. American people should know that.
I'm calling this the lightning round. It'd be great if you guys cooperated. I'm not a potted plant here.
Good.
And I want to ask you, we all know that federal policy does have a huge impact on states. We know that. I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions, and I just want one-word answers, okay, from 3 of you, because
Do our best.
we're coming up on a break.
I'll add my answer.
And the issue is right now Joe Biden is president.
Yep.
So
That is an
I would
issue.
like both of
You're
you
right, Hannity.
to give a grade to Joe Biden overall as president. Governor Newsom,
A.
I'll give
An A. Absolutely.
Governor
I think it's been a
DeSantis
master
Failed.
a failure. Okay.
No, that's your
Now,
campaign
number 2,
president.
are his policies helping or hurting your individual states? Is it helping the state of Florida?
The inflation is hurting our state big time.
Grade.
Fail. He failed.
Yeah.
He's failed
What
on the
would you-
The
economy.
guy just took
Is it helping
$28
the
million
state of
from the
California?
Science and Tech Act. Thank you, Joe Biden. It's absolutely accelerating our dominance in manufacturing, accelerating our revitalization.
Okay,
of
that
our
was a
state.
simple
The answer is
answer.
unequivocally,
Lastly,
absolutely yes.
okay, I will ask you, Governor DeSantis. I have played over and over again, and Governor Newsom, you have seen over and over again. Joe Biden is experienced what I believe to be significant cognitive decline. And in other words, it's the toughest job in the world. Is Joe Biden experiencing this cognitive decline? Is it a danger to the country? Do you find when he speaks, what is your reaction to it?
Yes, he's in decline. Yes, it's a danger to the country. He has no business running for president. And, you know, Gavin Newsom agrees with that. He won't say that. That's why he's running his shadow campaign. He should not be running. He is not up to the job. And it is dangerous for this country.
Well, I will take Joe Biden at 100 versus Ron DeSantis any day of the week at any age. In fact, all
So
of the
do you
folks
think
on the
he's up to the
campaign
job?
trail.
You think he's
Absolutely.
100%?
I've been spending
100%?
plenty of time with Joe
100%?
Biden in
Okay.
private
Let
and
him
public.
answer.
You don't know. And by the way, results matter. Inflation now is down to 3.2%. Wages are up to 4.4%. The economy is booming, 5.2% GDP growth in the last quarter. Those are facts you don't hear on Fox News. 14 million jobs, 10 times
Let me
more than the
move
last
on. That
3
was the lightning
Republican
round.
Because
Now,
of
on March
COVID. That's
31st,
why the jobs were there, 'cause
1968,
they were
President
always
Lyndon
there.
B.
They're taking away
Johnson famously
because of
said,
COVID.
I shall not seek and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president. Now, despite being an incumbent president who is eligible to run for re-election, Governor Newsom, I've interviewed you twice on this issue. You say you are not running for president in 2024. In fact, you recently said, quote, you think that Vice President Harris is naturally the one lined up to run for president if Joe Biden were to bow out. Governor Newsom, tonight I ask you, will you make an LBJ-like statement? And Governor DeSantis, you say he's running a shadow campaign. In your response, I would like you to answer that. Will you say unequivocally, under no circumstances are you running?
Correct. I've said, I don't know how many times I can say it, just making this stuff up about a shadow campaign.
If
Bottom line,
if at the DNC convention they come and
Joe
ask you,
Biden-
will you run? What will you
Joe
say?
Biden will be our nominee in a matter of weeks. And in a matter of weeks, Sean, he'll be endorsing Donald Trump as a nominee for the Republican Party.
If they come to you at the DNC and Joe is incapable of running and they ask you, are you a hard no?
And it's not even optional. He's doing fantastically.
You-
I appreciate and respect the work the president's doing and the vice president's, the Biden-Harris campaign and team. So absolutely unequivocally,
Vice
I look
President
forward
Harris would be the
to
next person.
continuing to support their efforts. President
All right.
Biden will be
Well,
reelected.
I mean,
Donald Trump
I think
will
what
be
he's
rejected.
saying, I think what he's saying should color every single thing. I mean, I've called him on a lot of the lies, but he says Joe Biden is 100% up to the job. You know that that's not true. Anybody that can look, he wants you to believe him over your own lying eyes. When he says the economy is so great, how great is it when you're going to the grocery store now? How great is it when you're trying to afford a home? How are those interest rates doing? What about affording a new car? So we have to get real here. We have to understand that Biden is not up to job. But here's I think the problem. What Biden would do, the people around him, they would look to California for the model to go forward in the next 4 years. That would accelerate the decline of this country.
Yeah.
Freedom is what works. The failures need to be left in the dustbin of history.
Yeah, tell about freedom to women that you're trying to criminalize in your state. And
All right,
doctors you're trying to criminalize
we're
your
retreating
state.
to old ground.
Spare
For
me
years,
this notion of freedom.
gentlemen,
Florida is not a state of freedom.
one of the things I wanted to accomplish here is the policies that you both implement have a great impact on the citizens of your individual states. For years, a gallon of gasoline, Governor Newsom in California, has been notably higher in your state than in the state of Florida.
That's right.
Here are the numbers, by the way, recent numbers. The average cost for a gallon of gas nationwide, just over $3.24. In Florida, $3.17. In California, it is a whopping $4.85. So, Governor Newsom, I ask you, you've also sued big oil companies, alleging executives have deceived the public about the health of our planet, knowing that it's a polluter.
Right.
If your lawsuit is successful, that would likely mean higher gas prices, even higher gas prices for everybody. Here's my question, though. Could you name right now one source of energy that you can bring online in the next 3 to 6 months that would be as inexpensive for the people in this country as fossil fuels?
Let me touch.
Can you think of that energy?
Let me touch on the. I'm going to get to your question, and then let me touch the
He always
latter
says
part
he's
of
going
your
to get to the question.
Let
He
me give
never
the
gets
first
to
part of
the
your
flipping
question. You're
question.
absolutely right. Since the 1980s, Republican administrations, Democratic administrations,
God, is the air
have
thinner up
experienced
there, tall
under
man?
their
Is that why you can't
stewardship
think
have
right?
experienced higher gas prices in the state of California. We've been ripped off by big oil. We continue to be ripped off by big oil. Big oil now has met a new foe, and that's the state of California, the most aggressive anti-gouging law in America, more transparency being required than any time in America. And yes, we're suing the industry responsible for this climate crisis. By the way, the same climate crisis that Ron DeSantis celebrated as human caused, who campaigned for a fracking ban, who campaigned to oppose offshore oil drilling, and then 2 days after he got elected, signed an executive order.
I
By the
don't
way,
even like
Nikki
listening to him
Haley
anymore because
had
he's
you
not
dead
even
to right
answering
on
the
this,
question.
Ron.
There was a clear
Signed an
question, and
executive
he's
order
just like,
doubling down, saying you're adamantly opposed
ugh.
to fracking, adamantly opposed to offshore oil drilling. You were celebrated by the Sierra Club for that action until you weren't. Once again, it shows the hypocrisy of Ron DeSantis. Now you're running away from climate change as
Well,
things
how
have
he
gotten
just
worse.
talked about
Hurricanes,
him as if Ron
wildfires,
isn't
droughts,
right there.
and floods. $179
Hypocrisy of Ron
billion
DeSantis. Okay, Big
of
Bird.
weather-related disasters. And he has no response except talking points
All
from
right.
big oil.
Governor
We'll
Wow,
take
Newsom.
them on.
that was a
Governor
mouthful.
DeSantis.
Again, just more lies. But
That
here's
was
the
a
thing:
mouthful.
California is the only one that oil companies are gouging. Why aren't they doing that to Georgia or Florida or these other states that have lower gas prices? Because of their policies. That's why people are paying more there. What Gavin Newsom wants to do, what he's doing in California, what Biden wants to do nationally is government dictated green energy policies. They want to kneecap fossil fuels and reliable energy. We've already seen what's happened in California. They have rolling blackouts. He actually implemented a mandate to buy electric vehicles. So pretty soon in California, you're not going to be able to buy a normal car, only electric vehicles. And they celebrated that as like a great thing. A couple days later, there was a notice from the state government telling all EV owners, do not plug in your EV because they don't have enough grid capacity. So he is walking his people into a big time disaster. What Biden wants to do is he wants to take the California model. He wants to impose that nationally. He wants to take away your ability to purchase the car that you want. He wants to kneecap reliable energy. And he wants to bring these rolling blackouts all across the United States of America. It doesn't work. It's going to cause huge problems. We have more energy here. We can be the dominant energy producer in the world.
Florida,
and that's what we're going to do. Florida is not a big energy state. We have the Marcellus Shale. We have the West Texas. We have all of that. So let's do that. No forcing electric vehicles.
We got to take a break.
The American automobile.
When we come back, we'll continue the great state, red state, blue state debate. More with Governor Ron DeSantis, more with Governor Gavin Newsom as we continue. Thank you for being with us from Alpharetta, Georgia.
Okay, so from my understanding, we have about 10 minutes left in this debate after the commercial break. And I have a lot to cover when it comes to that one because we had a lot of topics. Let's get to this here. Okay, so one of the things I took a lot of notes during this one. One of the things is Gavin Newsom said near the beginning of that stretch, and I'm going to get to some of your comments. I've been following those. I've been bringing them on screen and stuff. But Gavin Newsom during that stretch did say near the beginning, he said, quote, I don't like how you demean people who disagree with you. That's something that Gavin Newsom said to Ron DeSantis in reference to Newsom claiming that Ron was homophobic and all this stuff because of the quote unquote don't say gay bill, which is just absolute. A lot of mischaracterizations there, but I love how Gavin Newsom said, I don't like how you demean people who disagree with you, because actually here's a real tweet from Gavin Newsom. I'm going to bring it up on screen for you here. It says, let's bring it into big screen. Near the top there, it says, at Ron DeSantis, you small, pathetic man. And this was regarding him with immigration stuff, but starts off with Ron DeSantis, you small, pathetic man. Isn't that just such a great look when he just literally said, I don't like how you demean people that disagree with you? What a great look. I'm going to pull back this so we can keep looking there. I had more notes to go through as well, some of which have to do with some of your comments. Just another point when it comes to, besides all the statistics that Hannity had to say, California has an illiteracy rate of almost 30%, while Florida's is around 23%. So do with that what you will in regards to their level of education there. The numbers really don't lie, Gavin. Only you do, and apparently in bed with other women that aren't your wife. But let's move on to abortion, which was a big topic during that one. Something that Gavin Newsom said was, quote unquote, he was talking about 6-week abortion bans, and he said, quote, before women even know they're pregnant. Okay, so I know that there can be issues with contraception and birth control and all that stuff, but there is a way to know to an extent whether or not you're pregnant, or at least to know if you could be. And that's if you have had sex. This is the thing I hate about the left's idea of abortion, is the fact that they assume as if like one day you just wake up and you had an immaculate conception and you're pregnant. I'm sorry, that happened one time and an angel came down to talk to the lady it happened to. No, that's not how the world works. You don't just wake up one day and you're like, oh shit, I got a baby. No. There are decisions that happen prior to so that you could know whether or not you're pregnant. So to say before they even know they're pregnant is just kind of misleading. Along with that, he discussed a fetal anomaly that could threaten the life of the mother. The majority of these anomalies are discussed as ectopic pregnancies. And so I went to the Women's Clinic of Atlanta as a source because actually this debate is happening just 30 minutes north of Atlanta. So I figured they'd be a good example to use. They said a healthy pregnancy involves an egg being fertilized in the fallopian tube, traveling to the uterus and implanting itself into the lining of the uterus where it can continue to grow. An ectopic pregnancy occurs when a fertilized egg implants itself within the fallopian tube instead of the uterus. So it was never actually a full pregnancy. This can be life-threatening to the woman and the egg will not survive. There's 0% chance of it. The woman will receive medication or surgery to extract the egg, depending on how far along the egg is in terms of gestation. Removal of an ectopic egg pregnancy is not considered an abortion. The left will always try to say that this is an issue, is that people are trying to ban, and basically the left will try to say that the right are trying to kill women because they want to make it so that people cannot get a quote unquote abortion for an ectopic pregnancy, when in reality, it's not an abortion anyways. Definitively. I also wanted to address a big argument that was going on in the chat in which the Progressive American, he is a person I've known for a long time in my life, disagrees with me on a lot, has his own articles and stuff that he writes. More than welcome to go look it up, the Progressive American. But he did talk about the death penalty. And I've been clear, I am not pro-death penalty, and we can cover that after the end of this.
Welcome back to Hannity, the great red state, blue state debate. We continue with Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Ron DeSantis. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, these are the numbers for the homeless population in each of your states. It is a big problem around the country. In the state of California, it is 172,000. In Florida, it is 26,000. Now, the per capita numbers are pretty much the same. For California, it is 44 per 10,000 people, while Florida has 12 per 10,000 people. So, Governor DeSantis, I ask you, why the disparity? What are the policies you are implementing that is different from that of California?
California's adopting leftist policies. Gavin Newsom was governor or mayor of San Francisco. He put out a 10-year plan like 20 years ago. He was going to end homelessness. Then a few years later, he had another plan. And now he says he's going to do, and it's only gotten worse. In the last 10 years in California, the homeless has gone up 45%. It's gone down in Florida 45%. But it's caused a huge problem with quality of life in California. The people that flee always bring up this. They've really empowered lawlessness and drug use. And, you know, Gavin Newsom at one point tried to say that California was the freedom state. And I just kind of laughed, like, you're locking people down, you're doing all this. But then I thought about it, you know, California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open air drug market and use drugs. You have the freedom, if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits. So those are freedoms. They're not the freedoms our founding fathers envisioned, but they have contributed to the destruction of the quality of life in California. And the results speak for themselves. People are leaving the state because they have failed in addressing the homeless population.
Well, I love the rant on freedom. I mean, here's a guy who's criminalizing teachers, criminalizing doctors, criminalizing librarians, and criminalizing women that seek their reproductive care. You're making it harder to vote. You're banning books. I mean, spare me this notion of freedom. Ask the folks at Disney about freedom and free enterprise. Ask the folks at the Special Olympics that you threatened to fine with $27
because they were discriminating against the athletes.
Who goes after
those
Special Olympians?
To be out of comes to the issue,
Down syndrome, Ron, of homelessness,
that is wrong. That's being a liberal bully. That's being a bully.
Really?
They had Down syndrome, and you wanted to discriminate against them.
$27 million
they were discriminating against
Special
because they were discriminating against the athletes. They wanted to marginalize the athletes, and you wanted the athletes marginalized. That was wrong what you did. These are kids with Down syndrome. By the way, that just wanted to compete.
I grew up working
and you wanted them out of the
kids. I've been working with
You're a liberal bully.
All my life.
You wanted them to be. You wanted them to be ostracized.
You should talk
to Isabella from Florida. She got to participate because we stood up for her.
This is how you treat. By the way, no, hold on.
It's your
no,
turn.
But let me say, I can handle that. I can handle it. I'm used to that. But you know what?
You wanted her
your attacks on the trans community, your attack on the gay and lesbian community.
That's wrong.
You attack vulnerable communities. You attack women.
And we made sure they could compete.
Ron, relax. I can handle it. I'm used to bullying. You're nothing but a bully.
You're a bully.
I understand that. Intimidating and humiliating people. That's your calling card.
Why did you want the Special Olympians not to be able to compete?
How well is it going for you?
Why did you want them not to be able to compete?
How well is this campaign going?
Why do you not want them to be able to compete?
He's not going to let me talk.
I don't understand why you would want to discriminate
against
an
athlete with Down syndrome. The blueprint.
He wanted them to be excluded from the Special Olympics.
Has put Ron DeSantis 41 points down to Donald Trump as you try to get tough.
We said that.
Out Trump.
Let's go back to the homelessness.
The issue of homelessness has been an issue for decades in the making in the state of California. Ever since we started shuttering down our mental health institutions back in the day, in Ronald Reagan's day. The difference is I'm the first governor in California history to take this head on. We are investing unprecedented resources, more accountability. We've gotten 68,000 people off the streets, close to 6,000 encampments we've gotten off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources in reforming our behavioral health system. Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second response. You're, well, I'm looking at total time. Governor DeSantis, about 2 minutes.
He needs it.
This is a map of San Francisco.
I love how he keeps bringing props. Like, where is he pulling these out of? I love Ron.
Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own people.
I want to get in with the limited time we have left. I want to get, there are two very important issues we have not hit. After the Hamas terror attacks on October the 7th, we have seen what is nothing short of a disturbing outbreak of virulent hatred, anti-Semitism around the world, in the halls of our Congress, on American streets, on college campuses. Last month, outside in Sydney, opera house. In Australia, we've seen it all over Europe, but in Australia, anti-Israeli protesters literally in this day and age chanting, "Gas the Jews, F the Jews." In American cities, we have protesters calling for global Islamic war and demanding that Israel be wiped off the map, or in the words of Congresswoman Tlaib, from the river to the sea. Israel, meanwhile, is vowing to eradicate the terrorist group Hamas. But according to a report in the New York Times this week, U.S. officials have warned Israel that they need more to fight more surgically in Gaza. Governor Newsom, 30 seconds for you. We have to cut back on time.
All right.
How can Israel win the war against this terrorist group using surgical strikes and directions from Joe Biden?
Israel. I visited Israel. I met with families, hostages. I saw videos of children being killed in front of their parents, parents being killed in front of their children. I saw a beheading with a garden hoe. This is not complicated to me. This is a fight between good and evil. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they need to be eliminated, not just for the people of Israel and Jews around the world, but for the Palestinians themselves. But when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism, you just mentioned a lot of things that have been occurring on Ron DeSantis's watch. He said nothing.
You're calling him
man
anti-Semitic?
marching. I'm saying he countenanced anti-Semitism, and now he's finally talking a big game ever since October 7th. How about the mass man marching in the street?
Fairness of
Jews
time,
get the rope.
gentlemen.
You said nothing.
Governor DeSantis.
Nothing on these issues. Look at the
I feel like this
Governor
should not be
DeSantis
something that they're attacking each other on.
They
Like,
want to destroy Israel and wipe every single Jew off the map. Israel has every right to defend itself to the hilt. Biden should not be kneecapping them in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, Biden stranded a lot of American citizens over there. We're trying to get home. So I did an executive order in Florida, and we sent planes over to Israel right in the aftermath of October 7th. And we saved over 700 Americans, mostly Floridians, but not all, because Biden wouldn't do it. Finally, Biden started dumping people in Greece. And then they were sending a bill to the Americans just to get to Greece. If you come to this country illegally, they will pay to fly you all over the place. They'll put you up in a hotel at no expense. But yet our own citizens fleeing a war zone, they're going to send you a bill. Joe Biden failed those people, and we stepped up and got it.
Let me ask you. I want to turn to the
anti-Semitism.
We don't have a lot of time
on your streets for years.
I want to turn to the issue, gentlemen, of China. I talk about this often. Intellectual property theft, unfair trade practices. That China has been hostile to our fighter jets in international airspace, hostile to our Navy in international waterways. We know all about the China spy balloon that happened 8 days right across the United States over military installations. The communist Chinese, they have nationals buying up thousands of acres of ranch land, farmland, and land near military installations. Their hostility towards Taiwan. They are, Governor DeSantis, our #1 geopolitical foe. I don't see that the Biden administration has been tough with them. What would you do differently?
Well, first, in Florida, we banned China from buying land in our state because you're right. You don't want them buying farmland or land near military bases. So we acted. We also got the Confucius Institutes out of our universities. China should not be involved in our universities at all. What you need to do is you need to have hard power in the Indo-Pacific to deter China's ambitions. You need to take the economy, and we need to decouple from China. We're dependent on them for so many things. And then finally, we need to get serious about their influence in this country. They shouldn't be able to buy farmland anywhere. I can tell you this, I would not go to China and grovel in front of Xi like Gavin Newsom did. He says China's a partner on climate change. China's adding 2 new coal plants every year. China's laughing at us with what they're doing. So yes, they're the #1 threat we face, and we need to take it seriously. And Joe Biden is not doing that.
This is just a reminder. I think it's a question some people are probably asking. I know Nikki Haley's campaign is asking, when are you going to drop out and at least give Nikki Haley a shot to take down Donald Trump in this nomination? She laid you out.
Please.
You're a walking hypocrite.
You're
a walking hypocrite.
What about China?
On the issue of China? This is the guy that was looking for direct foreign trade from China, was doing trade shows,
That is
open
false.
up an awesome.
That's already been debunked. And you talk about the
true.
liberal fact
You are
checkers.
aggressive.
Even the liberal fact checkers
Donald
did
Trump
that.
himself today called you Red Ron for a reason, because of your complete hypocrisy.
All right, we're almost out of time.
Talking a big game. I confronted Xi on the issue of fentanyl, Ron. I confronted them
Not on human rights. You didn't.
I absolutely did, with the foreign minister and the vice president and other leaders in China. You talk a big game. Meanwhile,
We're
you haven't done
over
anything
time.
except tweet things
Final
out.
question. Governor DeSantis, we owe you about 90 seconds, but you get the last word as per the coin flip.
What are you giving me? 5 seconds? What do I get?
No, I'll do okay. I'll be a little more generous than
Give
that.
me 90.
Look, it's been a very passionate debate tonight. Actually, it's been fun to be a part of. I think the American people will decide. Governing philosophies could not be more different. But let me ask you this, kind of a fun question. You both clearly love your states. You visited each other's state. Governor DeSantis, you can take as much time as you want. You have an extra 90 seconds. What is your favorite thing about the state of California? And
I give him 5 minutes for this.
go right
That's
ahead.
a good question.
All right, we'll stay longer.
When
5 minutes, Governor.
When I got orders as a Navy lieutenant to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, I had not spent any real time in California in my life. Florida native, and I'm very proud of the state. But I got down there, and that Strand is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And then all up and down, just a tremendous coastline. I do believe California has more natural advantages than any state in the country, which is why when you have so many people leaving on net, that's hard to do. Like, people don't want to leave there because it really is such a beautiful area. And I'm proud of the military installations that are there. I'm proud of what the Navy's been able to do in conjunction with the state. It was really important duty. It really helped forge me as an individual and as an American. And so I'll always have very, very fond memories of that nice Strand down there in Southern California.
I love that. I mean,
What do you
Reagan,
love? No, what do you love? I don't know what you love
Reagan
about
used to call
California.
California Coast of Dreams. By the way,
What
look,
do you love about Florida?
What I love about your question is the comedy in the question, meaning, you know what? We all want to be loved. We need to be loved. We all want to be protected, respected, and connected. I think there is a unity frame here.
Okay, Dr.
You said it well. I mean, Ron, I have no doubt Ron DeSantis loves this country. I love this country. It's not about red versus blue. It's red, white, and blue. The United States of America. And I think we're all better off, and we're all better off. And so I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you, Ron, being a family man. You got 3 incredible kids. I appreciate your wife, your sacrifice, and I appreciate your military service. But I also appreciate we do have fundamental differences about the fate and future of this country. And that's why I'm going to be working so hard to get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reelected in 2024.
You couldn't resist. You had to go right back to 2024. All right, here's the last question. Would you do this again?
Well, you know what?
I hope we could do another
should be
half hour.
debating?
I got all night.
Joe Biden
Let's keep
should show
doing
up
it.
to a debate.
That's why I want to
Donald Trump should show up to a
I have
debate.
another 20 minutes, and I've got a lot of questions.
I'm happy to.
You want to stay?
Let's just do an extended hour. I'm happy to do it.
Okay, then
This has been fun.
I think it's been fun, and I think it's been more entertaining. I'm sorry to the guests that I've been invited. I got to take a break, though. In the meantime, we've got to pay some bills. It's not a cheap set we built for y'all. I hope you like it. Courtesy of your favorite channel, Fox News, and you do admit you watch often. We'll take a break. They've agreed to stay. Well, that's, I guess, a debate on the fly. We'll continue on the other side and later have live post-debate coverage. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia, the great red state, blue state debate as we continue.
Well, I guess it's continuing then. That was not the plan. They were already 10 minutes overtime, considering this was supposed to be an hour-and-a-half debate, at least according to all sources that I had seen. So very interesting so far. I thought that was going to be the end, but we're still going to give it a little bit of time. MRM, I know Modern Renaissance Man, my good friend Ty Smith, who's one person that's definitely been a huge help for me in getting more and more into streaming and everything like that. Many of you guys might have found my channel because of him. He apparently is waiting on another panel, but hopefully if you can, Ty, jump on for just a few minutes at some point, and I'll bring you right on and I'll let you go, man, because you know how to do it. I see. Okay, so this is one thing. There's a lot of things that I've been taking notes on throughout a lot of this, and I did not see this Prague American, but I will. I'll have to look at it. Interesting. But I wanted to check out was it? My trust in mainstream debate lost over this debate. Well, this is what I said at the very beginning of all this, right? This is not. It was my biggest prediction that I had. I said it right before the debate started, and it was the fact that this debate, as it's called, was not an opportunity. Like how many debates are usually an opportunity for people to hear multiple opinions. Like even presidential debates are not the opportunity. Primaries are a little bit different, but like a general election presidential debate, it's shown that the vast majority, 80 to 90% of voters who go and watch, if not even closer to 95, who go and watch a general election presidential debate already have their candidate picked before they watch it. It's a sporting event. People go to watch things like this with their respective sides. They're not going to watch to try to understand a different perspective. They're not going, no, they want to see the bloodbath. That's why this debate was organized, was to be a bloodbath, was to be them going at their throats, going at each other, everything like that. Not to mention the fact, I got to be honest, I just think, I got to count it. I don't know exactly. But for the guy that says he's not running for president, Gavin Newsom, for the guy that says he's not running for president and he's all about Joe Biden and everything, I'm pretty sure that he has, I'm actually almost positive, somebody fact check me on this, but I'm almost positive that he has mentioned the 2024 presidential election more than Ron DeSantis has, which is very interesting because he's been a simp for Joe Biden this entire thing. Literally gave him an A. Like, no sane person, like, if you even look at the majority of Democrats wouldn't give Biden an A. Yeah, they'd probably be more favorable than Republicans and conservatives, but even the majority of Democrats would not give Biden an A. Literally, Biden's unofficial slogan in 2020 was "Settle for Biden." People didn't like him. They voted they didn't vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. So to come out there and say that you're giving him an A, idiotic. Absolutely idiotic. More neutral moderators. Yeah, this is another thing I said, though, is that it definitely it definitely made it so Hannity was what was agreed on, and it also makes it so that Gavin Newsom has an easy out. If I think he's done awful, but like even if he did awful by a Democrat standards, they could still be like, well, Hannity was the moderator, so he was fighting against two people. That's what they could do, and that's why if anything, it favored Hannity. Actually favors Newsom more than he favors Ron DeSantis. In terms of this, yes, I might not stay as long, especially because it looks like this debate is going long. But that's why I put the link in there. You're more than welcome to join. You're more than welcome to join the waiting room for it at all, and you can do it now. I'd love to hear as many opinions as possible. I know that Progressive American said he was a little sick, but I'd love to bring you. I'd love to bring you on at some point. More than happy to bring you on for a full show at some point. I always put my email up there too, in case you want to join and be a part of a show at any time. But we're getting back here to the debate on the fly.
Welcome back to Hannity, a red state, blue state debate. By mutual agreement, both candidates had other commitments, and they realized afterwards they couldn't stay longer. But we appreciate them all being here tonight. Okay, what did you think about it? Was there a winner, loser, winners, losers? You get to react. Anyway, here joining us, co-host of The Five and former Democratic
Congressman. So they're
Congressman.
going through all that stuff now. I'm pretty done with it. I'll bring it back on screen in case there's anything that might be interesting. But those are my main points. It looks like they're just doing that kind of panel. I would love to get a panel going here if anybody is interested in joining. I've put the link in both my chats on Rumble and on YouTube. I have a few more thoughts to get through, and if no one joins, it's perfectly fine. But you're more than welcome to join and share your thoughts, no matter who you are, what you believe, anything like that. And I'll moderate it. And hopefully, I know that there's some criticism of Hannity and his moderating abilities, but I believe that I could actually do a pretty good job. So feel free to join anybody if you would like. On that, I had a few other things to discuss here. When it came to the end of the debate, I thought that Newsom did not do a very good job in that last question. That was a time to try to show that there was at least a little bit, or at least a little bit of sanity between two of them. And yet he still had to make it about 2024, and that it's not about red and blue. It's about red, white, and blue is grandstanding. And it was just classless, honestly. I wanted to address something earlier that I was about to get to. I see some people starting to join, or at least one person starting to join the waiting room. Anybody is invited to join for a short discussion. But there was one time one of my commenters discussed the ban on the death penalty in terms after Ron DeSantis was discussing being pro-life. I agree. So here's the thing: is I'm actually not pro-death penalty. It's one of the more progressive, or I don't want to say progressive, but more left-leaning things I believe in. But I really wouldn't even consider my reasoning for it left-leaning. I would never say that it's in comparison to abortion. necessarily. Those are two very different things. And the fact that a criminal committed something that is worthy of punishment, I just don't see. Really, my biggest thing when it comes to the death penalty is I don't trust the government to wield that kind of power. Look, there are two main things, I believe only two crimes that you can commit that earn the death penalty in the eyes of the American judicial system, and that would be treason and capital murder. Well, currently, Donald Trump is being put on trial for just about everything except for treason. And they could, based on the back ass word, yeah, I know I messed that up. The back ass word uh, reasonings that they have for the trial, for the indictments that they currently have, who's to say that they don't try to put him up for treason? If they were able to put him up for treason, who's to say they wouldn't put somebody like me up for treason? The government should not have the power to kill people because as soon as they do, well, I mean, they already technically do, but given the fact that they do, given the fact that we've seen the ways that our judicial system can go, Derek Chauvin, a person who did not kill George Floyd definitively, if you look at the autopsy, George Floyd died from a drug overdose, is currently in jail and basically was given a pseudo death sentence when he was stabbed, despite the fact that his attorneys were trying to say he should be taken out of Gen Pop because they feared for his safety. The government already has the power to kill people and say, and the fact of the matter is that while I'm remaining hopeful, the hope that I would have is that the government wouldn't choose to kill people based on something that they would say. But all signs point to the fact that it could happen. My mic apparently was having a seizure. Very sorry about that. Don't know what it is. But I do have somebody coming on. Hoping my mic is doing better now. I don't know. I can't hear it on your guys' side. But thank you so much for commenting about it. Let's get Alex in here. Alex has joined the show before after other debates. I'm always interested to hear his perspective. Let me do this. Alex Goodman.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Make sure I can hear it. One moment. I still have another slide open. There we go. Alex, what are your thoughts?
No, that was probably one of the most interesting debates that I've seen in a very long time. I mean, I feel like it was a lot more fiery than most of the presidential debates, and it was like fire from the get-go that Newsom was super cocky. He came into it thinking, "Oh, this is all BS," and he got chewed up literally through the political lawnmower. Like I knew Newsom was bad. I mean, my family lives in California. A lot of my family on my dad's side lives there, and they've lived there since the 1940s. And there's nobody that has screwed up this bad up till Gavin Newsom. Like there's no competition.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a significant level of lying and basically denying the facts that were presented directly in front of him. What did you think about Sean Hannity's moderating?
I think he made it too obvious that he was conservative. He should not have told people straight up at the beginning, "I am right leaning and I am conservative." Because he was
assumed though, like, but with that one, like, it's kind of assumed. If you've ever heard of Sean Hannity, you kind of know.
Yeah,
that's where he.
I mean, it's obvious. People should have known that he was Fox, and he's sort of the I call him the side hoe to Rush Limbaugh, because that's literally what he was.
Yeah,
he was sort of like the little sidekick to Rush.
Yeah, Hannity's a little bit more establishment than I think Rush was, but that's just my opinion.
And that's where they differed a lot. But I mean, and there were parts like towards the beginning where he was cutting in, and I don't know if it was him or if it was DeSantis or maybe Newsom or something. It sounded like he was asking if he was paid by Biden or something, like if he was in his pocket.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's out of line. I mean, even the other moderators, I mean, traditionally in the presidential debates we've seen Ron DeSantis, and there's been 3 or 4, whether it was Fox, whether it was NBC, and they had with Lester Holt recently, where they had a couple of moderators in and they were handling it. and they were trying to distribute time, and at least the people were a lot more respective. But it's like it seemed like Hannity couldn't handle it by himself.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the other thing too is Hannity, at least from my understanding, Hannity isn't really a debate moderator. He's done town halls and things like that, and one-on-one, he's been pretty good. But I've never seen Hannity ever moderate a debate. It was the whole idea of this entire thing was unconventional, and I think that was just a part of it. I think Hannity was more so considered for it, as he's now, he is the longest running, as he said, the longest running cable news host that's currently on air. So I think he was definitely a name to put out there to advertise it as well. That was a big sell for him. I think, like you said, though, he wasn't, and like a lot of people said in the comments, he was not the best that could have been in that job. But overall, it was a bloodbath. It was going at each other's throats, and even to the very end, Newsom had to hyper politicize it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts out of you, Alex?
No, just the different topics too. Especially towards the beginning there, where like Hannity straight up asked him, "So you support high taxes in California?" And he was like, "Yeah, I do." "Oh, no, I don't." And it was like, you just exposed yourself. And after that point, I was like, if anybody was watching and they were sort of on the fences, that should have been a red flag, not to even be close to Newsom, to not even touch him, even if he dances in. Because he, like you said, he's not going to run in 2024, but he was literally kissing up to Biden. He kisses up to Kamala Harris.
Yeah, that was a big thing when Ron mispronounced her name. You have respect for her. You have respect for her. Okay.
Oh man, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, aside from that, the policies, the big thing that also stood out was the teachers unions, because Ron DeSantis is the only one that stood up to teachers unions, and Gavin Newsom didn't even defend really any of the teachers or any of those people in California, where he was like, oh, he didn't really own up to it either, but he wasn't really closed off to it, which just made it even more weird that that there's sexualization and stuff going on inside our public schools. And so, because he was he didn't want to tell people, and so yeah.
Absolutely. I do see we have another person in the waiting room. I'm more than willing to join. I just have not had you on the show before, so I'd like if you could flash your camera, at least in the waiting room, so that I could verify who you are. We can take your opinion, and we'll probably be off here a little soon just because it's getting late here in Illinois, but screw it. We'll just bring him on. Lucas, you there?
Hey, what's up, Kev? How we doing? Sorry, I don't have my camera hooked up right now, unfortunately.
Oh, it's all good, but happy to have you on the show, Lucas. What are your thoughts? You have an opinion to share?
How you doing? I don't think the debate really made any progress and shift in the polls or anything for Ron. I think that's really what it needed. I thought the facts, whenever they put up the stats every time, I think it hit Newsom pretty hard with that, especially since they were from some pretty fair sources, I'd say. He didn't really have too much to do all about that. The Kamala Harris, I'm going to still call her Kamala. I've always done
Kamala,
that.
who cares?
I didn't even know that is. Yeah. I thought that was a little ridiculous. It's always fun when they try to poke, being disrespectful. Like, look at the whole debate, guys. If they go home, watch that all back, really, you want to call that disrespectful?
No, absolutely. What were your thoughts? I was talking to Alex about Hannity as a moderator. Did you have any harsh opinions on that?
I feel like Hannity is quite the establishment squish. He's been saying the exact GOP tax cuts for the last few decades. Doesn't really engage too much with the culture war, the popular, fronts in the current political landscape. So I can't say I was too proud of how he handled that. I wish they had some more enforcement techniques. I think muting the mics would be fantastic. Have a few little things. It could spice things up, though.
Yeah, and I wonder, though, here's something I wonder, because I believe that a lot of this was for ratings. Fox News, the first time they held the presidential debate, they sent out a media blackout thing that was basically you can't use any of our stuff. I still did. I didn't get anything from their first debate. I got copyright strikes on their second debate, but their first debate I didn't. And so when they have things like that, it's obvious to me that a lot more of this is not about actually having any kind of a conversation or informing people. It's much more about ratings and money to them. So do you think that maybe the reason why they don't enforce it or don't want it enforced is because that kind of conflict like drives ratings? One of my majors is marketing, and I feel like that would be something that definitely drives ratings, is having them go at each other's throats. Like if it was more
100%.
organized, I think your layman like person that does not actually listen to the policy or anything would find it incredibly boring.
Yeah, well, also, if they did it right, they could also spice things up even more, I think, have a lot of
Mhm.
debate around whether he should have cut him off at this specific time or whatever. Yeah, I don't feel like Fox News is really trying to. I feel like if they put themselves out a little bit more and made this more widely available instead of, subscribing to their cable news, I'm not going to do that. I'm
Yeah.
just going to find someone's live stream like you. So it's great that I subscribed. Fantastic
Appreciate
channel.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't really offer them too much legitimacy if they aren't gonna, try to make this as widely accessible as possible. So I can't say I like that.
Yeah. Alex, what are your thoughts on that, since we didn't talk about that one as much?
What was the question again?
Just do you think that the reason why they don't organize the debate as much is because it drives ratings?
I mean, I feel like it's half and half. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel like they didn't really organize this one because Ron DeSantis is really well established from the beginning, and so is Newsom. But
Mhm.
Newsom has not formally appeared in a debate like in this type of setting up till now. He's
At a
done a lot of
national
state
level, yeah,
stuff.
only for his other candidacies. So
Yeah, he doesn't really step into the public eye a whole lot. He's sort of, I don't want to say he's a lame duck, but he sort of delegates like no other that I've ever seen. Like he'll pop out to the public like every once in a while, but he sort of hides behind like his public staff. Like he just says, like his attorney general, whatever, he just gives them literally laundry lists of stuff and says, go out, do this, and they handle the media for him. He's not good in the public eye. I mean, he will come out and talk when he has to, like during the pandemic. This sort of forced him to,
Mhm.
and he had to during the pandemic. But since the pandemic, he's just catered down, and so I was surprised that he actually like agreed to it. I mean, I guess I underestimated his cockiness
Yeah.
because their spat off that he had during the pandemic and coming out of the pandemic with Ron himself. But I mean, it was interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we got a very special guest joining us, guys. Now, my good friend Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man. What are your thoughts, Ty, on the debate? Everything that, I don't know how much you heard of our conversation here, but what's going on?
Man, this thing sucked.
I'm with you on this
God.
one here.
More.
Man, I was annoyed big time, man. First of all, Hannity did all this talking. I'm gonna moderate. I don't want to be a hall pass person, but I'm gonna. He sat there and let Newsom like dodge almost every freaking question he asked him.
Mhm.
I mean, I was just getting like so annoyed with him. Newsom, 2 + 2. Do you agree that it equals 4? Well, before I answer that, check this out. This is what DeSantis did. He said that math is something that should don't answer the question, man. Answer the freaking question. He could not do it. And what really made me more annoyed is the fact that Hannity let him. You're supposed to be the moderator, right? You're supposed to keep him in track. The minute Gavin Newsom said, well, I'm gonna answer it, but first let me nope, blah, blah, blah. No, listen. Answer this question first. Yeah, I heard you, but what I want to do is say, nope. Keep on reeling them back in. He probably would have got, although we can tell from this, they got the ratings because of the fighting back and forth, but he probably would have got a whole lot more respect and a whole lot more rate because people would have been like, hey, telling other folks, hey, Hannity is kind of checking Newsom. Newsom trying to dodge the questions. Hannity is checking them on it. Hey, come and check this out. And that, so it got to a point to where I was covering it, but I would say about 3/4 of the way, I was like, okay, yo, I'm shutting my stream. Now I can't even watch this no more because Hannity is letting them do it. Now, Hannity did come off, as you said, as you mentioned, saying that he's, I'm a conservative, he mentioned that, get that. But then it's like, if you saying that, again, why did you let him dodge it? You kept letting him dodge it. You put the statistics right up there in his face. What do you think about that? Well, before I answer that, I'll tell you what. See, DeSantis them had that, and he did. He kind of tried. He thought he got DeSantis a little bit with the mask, shooting thing. But then when he put the statistics back up there and showed that California have more than Florida. So what do you say about that? What do you say about that, Newsom? Well, see, here's the thing. See, Biden is doing a good job on what? I mean, oh, dude, I was getting so frustrated on that, man. My wife thought I was on the live panel because I was sitting there screaming and yelling back. She was like, "Who was you on? Was you on a panel debating somebody? Who was that guy you kept telling to answer the question?" I was like, I was literally listening and watching the whole debate going on, so I wasn't on a panel yet telling somebody to answer the question. She was like, "And you were yelling like that at him?" Like, yes.
All right, Ty. So that you don't get so mad next time, one of the next debates, I'll have you co-host it with me, or we could do it on your channel or something.
Dude,
okay?
Yes. I mean, I even tried to. I was trying to, but we'll do that next time. To where if you have it like this, I'll be able to stream that to my audience, and all of them will be in on this. Because I think us going back on this, dude, about how they were doing this, it would be good. I think honestly, if we would have done that tonight, I think we would have been more entertaining than the debate itself.
Absolutely.
I mean, dude, gosh, man, I like. And then I was also, don't get me wrong, I was a little annoyed with DeSantis as well, because I wanted DeSantis to keep on. I was like, it's like when Trump debated against Biden. I want to say, Trump, I get that you want to really stick it to him, but if you have an opponent that's already decrepit and beaten and wounded, and they're sitting there crawling, let people see them crawl. Don't sit there and continue to pummel them. We see that they're broken. So like tonight, when he was throwing those stats up there, the minute he would have said DeSantis, what do you think? Well, I'll answer, but he hasn't answered that stat thing yet, so I'll wait. I mean, let him eat himself into a hole. And that's what Trump, the same thing I felt that he should have did with Biden. He should have just not talked over Biden, let Biden talk, because he going to screw up. Let him do it so everybody can see it. But it ended up looking like the questions never got answered because another person was so big on trying to prove their point. So to me, DeSantis, I would have just been like, can you go back to the stats? And then, I'll wait.
Absolutely. Well, everybody, thank you, Ty, for joining. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Lucas. I'm wrapping up here. It is 10 o'clock here in Central Illinois, but I'm going to take you guys out. Once again, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this show. It is always a pleasure to be talking with you guys about all these different issues. And that, like I said, those invites to join panels and everything, they're open to anybody at any time. Is Sunday show. I'll be right back here. Got a lot of different things to talk about. And so make sure, I know I got a lot of new viewers tonight and I appreciate it, but that means to make sure you guys don't miss a minute of anything like this. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, especially subscribe no matter where you're watching from. Subscribe, check out the YouTube if you're on Rumble, vice versa. Comment what you think, not just in the live stream comments, but even below. Share it with your friends, because as many new viewers as I got tonight, we could keep growing this. As Guillotine said earlier, this is the Speechless Army, and we're growing, everybody. So like, subscribe, comment, share, all that fun stuff. And you'll see me again on Sunday. Might have some other videos that come out between now and then. But until the next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. God bless you. God bless America. And you've been watching Speechless.